Microphone I can turn on, desktop audio is on, and it looks like we are live. So, hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in. Staggerson Jags is joining me tonight. As always, I'm Reverend JR, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing something here. I don't know what, but something. So,
yeah.
The stream looks good, Sags?
Oh, yeah, everything looks fine, man.
Sweet. I've got all fancy crap here. Hopefully it all just works. I know my face isn't quite so bright as normal, but that's because the lighting in here sucks. So, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a little going on with your light there, but what are you going to do?
It doesn't have to be perfect. There's going to be like 3 people watching for now.
Yeah. They've got me to look at in the corner there, so that'll make up for it.
That's fair.
Oh, you give me a wrench, I could put the thumbs up back to up.
I did.
Instead of down.
We should probably share the...
Somebody's following me on that too, like every time I do it. I think that what's his name, Michael.
Oh, okay. Copy link.
Was
Let's go ahead and drop something over here to Twitter and tell people to come and watch us because we're interesting in shit, right?
Yeah. People like to watch us because we're so fat, bomb, cool. What are we even going to talk about?
I don't know, but I went today. I went to the store, and it was Walmart, and I found these 64-gigabyte flash drives, right? You twist the part and it comes out, so that's kind of neat. The really cool part is there's 64 gigs, and they were $4 on clearance.
Oh, shit. That's pretty cool.
Like 7 of them.
They're saying they can't hear you.
Oh, they should be able to hear me. Is it too quiet or something? I don't know. Is it not coming across? Oh, Twitter isn't enjoying that. Well, let's find out what I'm doing wrong.
Let's see. Oh, it's just really low. It's coming across really low. Okay.
Oh, I can turn that up
it's coming.
A little bit will work.
Oh, shit. That's pretty cool.
Like 7 of them. Let's get closer.
They're saying they can't hear you.
That's fine. Oh, they should be able to
hear
me. Is it too quiet? Yeah, it's very quiet, but I'm there. You're right. So let me get up my audio mixer because I am a potato. Open the volume mixer.
Yeah.
No, not that apparently. Recording devices.
We're getting there, folks. We're getting it all figured out, folks. Don't worry.
Snowball, and I apologize. I wasn't looking at the thing there. Listen, levels. I can crank that up to like 98. That might work a little better for you. I've got it all the way up as far as I can get it in the OBS. Okay. Oh wait, it seems to have some kind of automatic leveling thing on it.
Is that going to make me louder too?
No, because it's my microphone.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, for some reason it's not picking up as loud as
Let's see. Oh, it's just really low. It's coming across really low. Okay. Let's see what's going on.
I've got it all the way up as far as I can get it. It's not all that loud. Right. This set to the right. Properties. Oh, that's automatic leveling. Hey, does that work better? Of course that works better when I use the right fucking microphone.
Oh, I see.
No, I didn't realize.
OBS. Let's see. Oh, it's just
OBS
it's just
really
switched
low.
The
microphone that I was using.
Really low. Okay.
So,
see what's going on. But don't you have to restart it once you change it?
Can you still hear me all right?
That is working better. Yeah, I can hear you just
better
fine.
all
And
of a
you're coming
sudden?
through the stream too.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, does
If
that
you
work
change
better?
louder too.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is an amazing difference. All right. I'm sorry. OBS screwed up and reset to the default option instead of leaving it on the microphone I wanted it to use. So I don't have any clue which microphone it was actually taking from.
No worries. Moving on.
It just picked one of them. Haha, technical difficulties. Well, hello, Eric Brown.
We don't.
Now that I have a chance to look at the comments, Staggerson Jags is the new wrench for the comments.
I'm so wrenchy. I will wrench you to Wrenchtown.
Well, that sounds kind of wrenchy, man. Hashtag wrench.
Say some shit in chat. I dare you. Start some shit in chat. I'll fucking put your ass on timeout so fucking fast it'll make your head spin. You'll be like, what the fuck was that? It was a wrench. You got wrenched.
We got the crowns, man. We are the crowns. All right. I did
Just
have
watch
one.
your shit.
I did
watch
have.
your shit. That's all I'm saying.
Let's see. Let's make sure the screen share function works. I don't want the full thing, though. I want this, because that'll be the first thing that we talk about. Oh, you probably can't see that because Chrome, right? My screen's all black, I bet.
Anything.
Yep.
No, it's just got your icon. Just your icon.
Copy. I don't know why Chrome doesn't work in Hangouts to show a screen. Paste. Enter. But it's alright because I can, Oh, that's right. AIG's website is being a chugger today, too. Oh, well. I can at least, screen share this. Application... Firefox. That works a little better. So you can see it just fine there. And
Anything
now
else?
I can fade over to my article screen. Sweet. So, this thing I found from Answers in Genesis, of course.
Oh, good.
But that way I can share it to all of you.
Yes, let's read it together.
Triax says, "Wrench me, senpai." I think he's probably cool. I don't know. What do you know? This Triax guy, man. You got to watch out for him.
Yeah, I guess he's probably pretty cool.
The British people, man. I think he's British. I heard him speak once.
He certainly acts like he's British.
Britain is almost like hell, and his background is like a hellscape, so you know. Eric Brown says it's too spooky in here. I have to be quiet. It is so spooky, but you don't even have a skeleton today, Jags.
It's my Halloween Twitter name. You know how everybody changes their name for Twitter Halloween on Twitter to like.
Oh wait, there's one behind the open sign. I got it.
So my Halloween is not a skeleton.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair. So
for Halloween,
we'll take a look here. Is there really a war on science?
Is there?
Popular science.
I didn't know. I've never heard of.
They often throw around the phrase "science deniers" and refer to a supposed epidemic of science denial sweeping America and other Western nations.
Yeah.
And I apologize that I'm glancing the camera here. I think my face looks better in profile anyway, but there's a monitor over this way.
I get it.
It's a very old monitor, but it gets the job done.
Oh, I can double monitor this shit because I have two monitors.
Earlier this year, thousands of people gathered in Washington, D.C. for the March for Science to take action against these supposed deniers and support the science and evidence-based policy in the White House. I can't fucking speak tonight. Great. They claim... What do you think about this, Stags? They're theists and they're making claims again. And they're telling us what we...
They do that a lot.
They do.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. You know, this is a big part of why I am a skeptic and a atheist, is because all their fucking arguments are nonsense and bullshit, and they do strawman and fucking they're hyperbolic and they fucking misrepresent the reality. I don't even know what the claim is, but I bet that's a fair assessment of it already.
So this is a claim we make, apparently, is what they're saying. We face a possible future where people not only ignore scientific evidence, but seek to eliminate it entirely. I mean, that's fair. We do make that claim, but, I mean, it's happening right now, too.
Yeah, I was going to say that. It's happening, man. We see, like, those people in college campuses talking about getting rid of science and shit.
Did you see that article I
For
posted
social
the other day about people drinking turpentine for their health?
Oh, you know I can't read, man.
I know, but I thought I would ask. There were pictures too, I think. Reading, man.
Were they hot chicks?
I doubt it.
Reading, man. How does it work?
It might have been on the Pathos blog. Let me I'll find
Make
it
it
later.
to the Pathos blog.
Staggerson doesn't
Yeah,
like words when they're on print.
I don't like words.
When
I
they're
like
printed,
words just fine.
Because you can't
I like
read,
words.
you know.
They're alright.
We ought to get Emmett
they look
on the
pretty,
show
though.
one of these days.
Emmett?
Yeah, we ought to get Emmett on here one of these
You can
days.
get Emmett, come on here anytime you want.
I don't know if we can handle him all the time though. He's probably friendlier than Darth anyway.
Emmett?
Darth Dawkins was a real
Have you
trip
spoken
the
it?
other day.
Have you spoken to Emmett on Twitter?
I have. He really likes some GIFs that I share with him. Have you seen that? They get him all worked up.
He might block you. He blocked Triax.
Yeah, that happens. Bible Reloaded blocked me. Ken Ham blocked me. But the real one, the real badge of honor is Emmett. Is the future of science
Emmett open right now.
really headed in such
Emmett.
an extreme direction? Seems to be. Is the Earth flat? I don't know. The Earth could be flat.
No, it's flat in spots.
I mean, yeah, if the Earth is really flat,
It's
I want to see him take a picture of the ISS when it's over, like, Cape Canaveral. And I want him to do it with an airplane that's, like, in Australia.
the ISS isn't real.
Well, sure it is. You can see it in front of the sun.
That's a balloon.
It's exactly the same kind of projection. What are you talking about? It's spirit
Have
science,
you seen
man.
the ISS in front of the sun yourself?
No,
Or
my
you
eyes.
just looked at it?
I don't see anything myself. I see with these things. Maybe these things are a hologram. My glasses, that is. I forgot I'm screen sharing with you. You can't actually. You can pull up that link if you want, and then I can stop screen sharing, and you can see me actually say things again.
All I could see was your icon the whole time. Anyway,
Oh.
you didn't have your camera on. I could see you on the stream like a few seconds later.
Oh, that's a good point. I forgot. My camera won't go through both unless I have some kind of splitter or something.
Your booger
well.
baskets.
Pretty much.
What about the couch?
What about the couch?
What about the couch? You just asked me the exact same question I asked you.
I'm not sure
Not
what
only
you're
did
talking
you
about. That's
answer
why I
my
asked
question, not only did you answer my question with a question, you answered my question with the same question.
I'm not sure what about the couch. That's why I'm asking. It's like, what about dragons? I don't understand.
I asked you.
And I'm not sure what couch we're talking about.
Now you're just starting to fucking pick and prod and split hairs.
I'm confused. Where did the couch come
You
in?
won't just give me a straight answer to the question.
I'm not sure what couch we're talking about. I honestly don't know.
Worming and squirming around the question.
That came too far out of left field, man, and I'm far too right for that. Haven't you asked any SJWs lately?
I don't talk to SJWs, dude.
Oh, it's fun. It's great. I got Christy Winters to block me the other day because I asked her why she was such a prick.
She's a prick. I don't like to talk to them because I just don't see why I need to. Like, I would talk to them if it wasn't about social justice stuff.
Well, sure, but then we'd have to be careful also.
I don't have to be anything.
It seems like it got really quiet in our comments section. Did everybody leave us? No, we have 3 concurrent.
We still have 3 viewers.
Nice. Live
Hello, 3 viewers.
And we've been live for 11 minutes, and the average view duration is 10. So that's we are retaining these viewers really well. We're not even doing anything much. We are just
Fuck yeah.
We're talking like bosses to these 3 people that are just intently listening to us say things now that they can actually hear me.
One of them's totally me.
Well, that's fair. I don't actually think I have this open anywhere, so 2 of them are not me. Even better.
I'm gonna share it to Twitter and then pop out the old chitty chat and close the stream window.
We need winders, man. Winders. So
Pop out
the next segment there asks us, what does science mean? Science, in its most basic definition, means knowledge. Does it? No, that's not what science means.
Well, in its most basic definition, I'll accept that. There's lots of different ways you could define science.
Yeah, I mean, science is a process. Knowledge is the body of things that...
Hey, Lynn.
Hello, CandidLynn.
Hi, Lynn. What's up, girl?
But yeah, I guess science can be knowledge.
I'll accept that. I'm sure that we could accept that definition and still take a shit all over whatever the fuck they're about to say next.
Well, that's probably true. And in case they get serious, I can just knock myself out, right? Well, you still.
If it gets too scary, we can always all just run.
No, it's near Halloween. The point is to get scared. So let's find out about the knowledge.
Okay.
Science is usually defined as knowledge gained by using the scientific method, or perhaps knowledge derived from observations made by our 5 senses. Yeah, that's still generally close enough for a basic understanding of it. It's close enough.
Hold on.
If we can call it knowledge, then we can give them that much, I guess.
Okay, let me see. Where are we?
I mean, a lot of times it's actually not made with our senses, but, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we use logic and reason. We take what we observe with our senses, and then we work out in a more in-depth way what is really going on.
Right.
Like our senses don't tell us that the planet's spinning. We see with our senses that the sun and moon and stars all go in one direction through the sky.
Right.
And we can work out with our brains, not our 5 senses so much.
Right. Well, it's a 6th sense. It's called knowledge, intelligence, wisdom.
Well, it's not really a sense. It's
intuition.
An ability to process information.
So they ask, is there really a war on science? A war on knowledge? There seems.
What does that even mean?
I don't know.
I don't think that there's like an orchestrated, concerted effort, but it does seem like there's mass armies of people that are fucking trying to take us back to Dark Ages when people didn't know what the fuck was going on and they thought the sun was a god and the moon chased it out of the sky at night or whatever.
Right.
Silly cavemen think the earth is flat.
Yes. I wish I was a caveman, then all I'd have to do is hunt and gather and then die early and not have polio vaccines.
Okay. Let me ask you a question since you got me over here on your channel or in your house.
Yep.
I want to ask you a question. Are you more of a hunter or a gatherer?
Whichever one works. If it were back in the day, I'd probably I like throwing things, I guess. I don't know if I'm very good at it, though. Well, like spears and rocks and sharp, pointy things.
I see.
But if I'm very bad at it, then I would have to hunting. Most people would be hunters, though.
Throwing things. Yeah, you're going to want to use some kind of a weapon for sure. Like if,
and we didn't necessarily have bows.
Using an atlatl.
Right, but we didn't necessarily have them, depending on how far back you go. They're still a relatively new invention.
True.
For
yeah,
humans.
Well, there's also atlatls and slings and stuff like that.
Right, sling is probably more logical, but even then, I mean, a club is a lot simpler, and they work just as well. And back then, humans hadn't killed off most of the species that we ate. So hunting would be a lot
Right,
easier
and yeah,
back then, in a way.
if you're going back to hunter-gatherer times, that's before they sat down and started making,
Right.
we
didn't have
stuff,
agriculture,
like
yeah.
society and shit. Yeah. So yeah, you'd be pretty much limited to rocks and spears.
Right. We couldn't just go down to the store and pick up a gun and, shoot deer.
No, but so in the caveman times, see, I think I'd be more of a gatherer. I'd like to just take her easy, gather up some stuff. I mean, I'd probably go on the mammoth hunt when that was the time, because they need all the hands they can get. But why I gotta be out there chasing rabbits and stuff when I could just be like picking some berries?
Well, the difference is the reason hunting. Why, hello, Mike. Glad to have you here. If you want to join, I can get you the link for the chat. Now that I'm thinking about it, I should have put that in the other Discord as well. Let me.
I should have put that in the other Discord as well.
Paste. Nope, that's the wrong link in the wrong channel.
You need a producer.
I'm a fucking genius here. I am the best producer. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but you're trying to host the show.
I don't care.
What's up?
I'm like
Ginger
GDP.
from another
What are you talking about?
Hell yeah. I like that shit. Ginger from another Minger.
What up, Red?
Producer, that's a good idea. Sleek and I want to do a show, and I wonder if we should try to get a producer.
I could run that by myself if I'm not actually on the show. I could probably do a lot better at it when I'm not distracted with all these words and stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we're not on air. Maybe that might be something that works up. What's up, Ray? I gotta step away from here for a minute. Okay, are you gonna be all right?
I can drive. I have a license. I've never wrecked. Well, once when I was.
You haven't had too much to drink.
I'm only having tea right now. Literally, that's all this is. It's just tea. You can't see that, but it's tea bags. Nope, I got drunk last night. I'm not getting drunk tonight. 2 nights is too much.
See, you're not an alcoholic.
No, that's what they keep telling me.
The only reason you don't drink 2 nights in a row is if you drank it all the night before and you don't have any money left.
My stomach just doesn't take it anymore. I'm getting old, man. Even though I'm not as old as you, I'm twice as old. It feels like.
Whatever, man.
I'm weak.
I've probably consumed more alcohol than you'll consume in your entire lifetime.
Probably. I didn't even start drinking till I was 25. So yeah, you've got a good head start.
Yeah, well, I won't drink anymore for the rest of my life, presumably. So.
Oh, I see.
Done. I haven't had a drink in 3 years, son. 3 years.
Red said she could hold his hand if you want. I'm not sure which one of us she's talking about, because I'm not sure exactly when that got.
Your hand, because I got to step away.
Oh,
I know people in chat always respond to what we're saying without putting it in context.
She's gonna be my co-pilot.
Realizing there's
all right, that's fine.
Delay. And we don't have the attention spans most of the time to keep track of what the hell happened 30 seconds ago.
I wonder, we don't have many people watching. I could probably just put the fucking link right in the chat if I felt like it.
Oh yeah.
Why not?
I thought that guy was funny, man. That dude, that Darth Dawkins dude, he's all, delete the link so the trolls jump in. You're the fucking troll.
He was a very good troll, but he's not the good kind of troll, he's the bad kind of troll.
Yeah.
Why? Hello, Mike.
Hello.
How are you doing tonight? This is Mike Nahernick.
At least you said my name correctly. Holy.
He does streams and stuff. Yeah, you told me once, so I remembered it. I'm pretty good about those things. Not always, but. And there's CandidLynn. She's coming to tell us some things too.
What do I need to tell you?
I don't know. We're hanging out here. We're talking about science. We're having a lot of fun.
Cool. Yeah, I was seeing that. It seems like the stream's pretty delayed though, so I
That
hopped in,
happens.
it was still playing.
That happens. I don't know why YouTube has a delay on it. I think OBS has a little delay on it. So,
Probably just YouTube. YouTube has a delay of 30 seconds by default.
yeah, and sometimes it gets a little worse. Sometimes it'll be almost live, and you'll be like 10 seconds if you're a big channel or something.
I think it also depends on your CPU's threading capability.
Oh, that could be part of it. I do have a pretty decent computer, but yeah, YouTube just doesn't like streaming when it's not its own native thing or something.
So you're reading a creationist article.
That we are. Red and only red says context. Who needs that? Who needs context? Also, like you guys can see, the chat's going up the side there, so that's fun. So we were talking about what science means.
It means big fat booty on a ding dong.
That's one of the many things it can mean. We're going to need you to test that for us, Stags, and get the results back.
Alrighty.
Red
You're
would
gonna have
join,
such a hard loss.
but not.
Science is just our way of understanding the world around us.
Yeah, basically.
I think it's kind of, to paraphrase Lawrence Krauss, I like the way he put it.
So AIG says, and the fella's name who wrote this article is Avery Foley. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, Avery, we've seen him before. He is a writer for AIG, and he's from Ontario, Canada. She.
Oh, so he's an idiot
She.
Canadian.
I was wrong. Avery is a woman somehow.
Avery is a female idiot Canadian. Right.
She holds a Master's of Arts in Theological Studies from Liberty Baptist Theological Seminary. So
is it the one? Is it the one out in like Virginia?
I would presume there are not very many Liberty Baptist Theological Seminaries.
Well, the reason why I'm asking is because Liberty University, is the one I'm thinking of is out, I think, out in Virginia. And that one specifically is crazy. I knew somebody who went there and they were just not normal. With that university, like women had to wear skirts to class. Like if you were holding hands with somebody of the opposite sex, even during the summertime, not on school grounds or anything, when somebody told on you, you could get in trouble. If you watch an R-rated movie, you could get like expelled.
That's what I'm saying. They need to be keeping them kids under control, because them college kids are getting all out of control and they're putting each other's privates up against one another, and then they're putting like vodka up their butt and stuff.
Yeah, if you listen to like unchristian music, you could get in trouble and you would get demerits, and you have to go to church. If you miss church, you'll get punished as well.
Speaking of something else,
on this crap.
I don't know. I almost went there because they sent me a lot of stuff in the mail, but I looked into it and I'm like, there's no way, absolutely not.
But yeah, apparently it is the same Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia.
Yeah, so she went to basically a cult crazy school.
Sounds like it's just, yeah, apparently.
Yeah, so
also,
that's not right.
Second article I threw up there, which we'll also take a look at. But we'll go back to the war on science real quick. We are talking about the war on science, though, so let's take a look at this.
Mm-hmm.
Because these people think that drinking turpentine will cure any disease.
I mean, they'll die.
Yeah,
they don't have the disease if they're dead.
Well, yeah.
I've seen this on Facebook the other day, and I have to talk about it because it hurts my head.
Are you sure it's not like that's
a troll? That's like, yeah, that's like one of those put screws in your tires to gain more traction in the winter.
Like put your phone in the microwave to make it charge quick.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying there is actually a closed Facebook group where people are actually doing this.
Oh God, I believe it though.
Let's
Pose
see.
long.
It's like people thinking that rat poison will help them.
Healing from the Inside Out is the name of the Facebook group. You can see it's a closed group. You have to apply to join. I'm not going to do that because I'm not a moron.
Not a moron.
But yeah, apparently there are people who legitimately think that drinking turpentine will fix your problems.
You know, part of me
Dude,
thinks
they'll
that's
be shoving it
okay.
up.
That's
They'll
okay.
be squirting it up. They'll be squirting it up their butt next.
Well, no, that was part of it. Part of it was enemas that they were doing with the turpentine.
Oh yeah. Of
Is
course, it's
anybody-
always enemas. It's always enemas, dude.
It seems to
You
be,
ain't-
yes.
It always
Is
is
anybody
enemas.
getting a flashback to like Dracula Dead and loving it?
Part of me think that's fine because that means
No.
they remove themselves from the gene pool.
Pretty much. I wonder if you sterilize yourself if you take a turpentine enema. I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, you should be sterilized,
it's
but
stealth eugenics. I get it now.
again, because if you're putting shit up your butt, then it's gonna immediately get absorbed into your bloodstream, so you're gonna just die more quickly.
Yeah, that's the same reason you shouldn't try to get drunk off of enemas, because they'll kill you a lot faster. Also, I mean, like, some kids put hand sanitizer in their eyes to get drunk, so, you know, I can believe just about anything.
That just sounds like it would burn.
I may
Yeah,
or may
I
not
know.
have seen somebody stick a.
Well,
I may or may not have seen somebody stick a shard of meth in their eye once.
that doesn't sound good either.
It didn't look good.
That sounds terrible.
If it happened, if it had
Also-
happened, it wouldn't have looked.
Mike dropped off for some reason, I guess.
He might have
Yeah,
issues like connectivity or something.
Yeah, that happens. He's way up in Canada somewhere.
They don't have great internet. It's fine.
It probably just froze a telephone pole or something. A moose ate through the wiring, you know. So AIG says those who claim America is brimming with science deniers usually point to the denial of two things. I should probably go back to where that is here. Evolution
Well-
and man-made climate change. Sorry, I got two browsers open.
I mean,
because one of them goes.
Now
through
we have
this.
flat earthers in the mix, so I think her
Yes,
list
we
is
do.
a little short there.
And fair enough. I think Pelagia was the one who was talking about Ken Ham on that, and Ken Ham actually does believe the Earth is round, and does believe it's older than 6,000 years or something.
Well, then you have people who deny dinosaurs as well.
Right, man. They're just dragons. They're just dragons.
Jesus riding a dinosaur.
A giant chicken, a raptor. That's how we need to draw all the raptors now. The Jesus rides are just giant chickens, like chocobos. And then Jesus
Hell
gets
yeah.
out his magical healing potions, and he's good to go.
That would be awesome. That'd be a religion that well, not that I could get behind, but one I would secretly cheer for.
It'd be
When
fine.
Jesus comes back riding on a Utah Raptor.
We'll
Hell
have
yeah.
chocobo races every year for Jesus. I don't care. The Utah Raptor is now a chocobo, because you know they were furry. They had feathers.
It's the closest thing I can think of to a chocobo in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Or the dodo,
Yeah.
but they're kind of gone and tiny.
I wonder if a T-Rex tastes like chicken.
Ooh, speaking of like meats, did anybody try the Arby's venison burger today?
I don't think it's legal to sell venison here in Ohio, so I don't think I could have.
It was all across the United States. They had a venison sandwich just for today only. It was really good.
Huh.
Did you spell sandwich SAMMIACH?
Yes, I'm going to need a sandwich. Arby's venison deer meat sandwich debuts October 21st.
It was only for
Well,
today.
Snap. I guess I'll have to go in the next hour. Let's see. Chain tested the venison sandwich in 5 states. I guess I'll have to bring that link up here. Copy pasta. Arby's is selling a sandwich made with deer meat for just 1 day. Yeah, I thought that was venison will Arby's said it's expected to sell out quickly. But yeah, I thought it was actually illegal to sell deer meat here in Ohio, so I cannot verify whether or not they actually had it here.
Why would it be illegal to sell deer meat in Ohio?
Hunting regulations.
Well, I mean, this came from New Zealand, so it's not.
But yeah, for some
Yeah, I don't
reason, it's just illegal here, I believe. You can take donations for it usually,
Mhm.
but you can't generally just go to a store and buy it because it's not legal
Yeah.
for some reason. I don't know. That's a really good question, though. Let's find out. We have a lot of laws regarding.
I'm
hunting.
sorry, I derail shit real quick.
There are hunting laws when hunting. No, that's not what I need then. 1501 deer regulations. It might have something to do with the tags too. I'm not sure. Okay, well, anyway, I can't find the laws right now, so I don't know. That's neat though. Deer meat is tasty.
Yeah, and the sandwich was pretty good. So if you have a chance to grab one, I say go get it.
I'll give it a shot tomorrow if they still happen to be selling them.
I mean, it's today only. A lot of places sold out, so if they have leftovers, maybe, but I'm not sure.
But I don't know where the nearest Arby's is to me either. Probably 30 miles.
Oh, that's just too damn far.
Here, I eat deer all the time.
Do you really?
Not like all the time, but I get it at least a couple times a year.
Mm-hmm.
Have some
So
deer.
that's the second time in my life I've had it. So, and both times have always been like they've been good so far.
Usually on Thanksgiving and Christmas and a few other holidays and just other times throughout the year when I go to my aunt and uncle's, they do a lot of hunting. And the meat they get, that's the only meat they have generally all year. They have deer, they'll have
Cool.
duck, they'll have pheasant, or they'll have whatever. Everything they hunt, you know. Deer is
Yeah.
really good. Duck's kind of greasy, but it's tasty.
Cocks. I love my coffee, no wonder.
Oh, yeah, you gotta get your coffee, man. So, yeah, I was gonna keep talking about Ken Ham, but, is there much to say? I don't know. Let's see. These is considered denying or even questioning these. Darn, that's just not a well put together sentence, but alright. Denying or even questioning these is, yeah, it's just not a well constructed sentence. Considered a denial
Let's
of
see.
science.
I want to see. Hold on. I want to see the fucked up sentence. What is it?
I mean, it's I know, and I see what they're doing. What they're doing is putting in a fragment inside of like a complete sentence. So, but it's awkward and it reads really weird. But it's not.
It's not improper, but it's just stupid.
Yeah, like it's like denying these is considered a denial of science, as if somehow denying these models is equivalent to denying all the scientific knowledge from a wide variety, blah 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 blah. But like
Yeah.
they're interjecting like sort of like an aside and right there. Typically, you do that around the middle of the sentence.
The comma should be after these and not before it.
Yeah. No, there should be no comma there.
As if somehow denying these models is equivalent to denying all of the scientific knowledge from a holy run-on sentence, Batman.
Yeah, that's why I
Wide
stopped.
variety.
It's the whole paragraph.
Oh, I see.
It's a
Because it's like
three-paragraph.
denying these, but then they inserted or even questioning.
It's one of them
If you take
three-paragraph
out-
sentences, yeah.
Well, if you take out like from or even questioning, like it's in like take out the comma and then like comma to comma with that phrase, it's a complete sentence. It's fine.
Well, and there should be like a semicolon, right
It's
after
it's
science
a
the first
clunky
time.
At any
maneuver.
point, anywhere
It's
where you can put a
technically
semicolon,
correct,
you can put
yeah.
a comma. You don't have to put a semicolon. No,
No, but right there would have made perfect sense.
semicolons are redundant. They're annoying and they're stupid looking. So you just put a comma.
This is a ludicrous claim. That's what they say.
Just that long run-on sentence and then just that short clipped one.
This is like a meme level jump cut. We had something to say and we just cut it out, but in text. Ken Ham, Avery lady, they never failed to impress. Oh my. Testable, observable, and repeatable. Those who cry foul at creationists or those who deny or are skeptical of man-made climate change display their own ignorance of the nature of science. We got through that sentence, all right. There are two kinds of science, observational and historical. No, there aren't, Ken Ham. You're just a fucking moron. Maybe that's why he
when they
blocked
throw
me.
that shit out there. They start trying to define science themselves and
Right, but
tell you how science can't work, and you're like, no, I'm not.
But the problem is, earlier he defined science as knowledge. So, by definition, we know both of them. Otherwise, it's not science. By his own definition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you not observe the historical evidence, Ken? I don't
But
understand.
there's also lots of other ways we can come to know things, like through evidence and through experimentation and shit like that.
I'm beginning to
should
think...
we really be looking... Sorry, go ahead.
Deductive.
I was just going to say we should really be looking at him as like a victim of like occult brainwashing.
No, I think he's just a scam artist.
He's like the head of the cult, the head brainwasher.
He's some kind of head. I was going to say...
Well, I just know... Like, if he went to the school that, we talked about, then he... like, they brainwash you and put Jesus in everything as, like, an explanation.
Well, this Avery
Ham
person,
went
that
there,
may be
or
true.
this person did.
But definitely not Ken. Ken knows what he's doing. Avery is probably making enough money that she also knows what she's doing.
Oh, is this a different person here?
This is all Avery.
Yeah,
on
this is
article.
Oh, okay.
This
All
is
right.
Miss
Okay, cool.
Avery.
But the point of the matter is, Ken has it on his website, so it's him effectively kind of saying it. Because he has said all the same things before.
Okay, I was confused for a second. Cool. Same page. We're good.
So when I
Got a
say
big fat
Ken, I
booty on
don't
the ding
necessarily
dong.
mean he's the one saying it right here. I just mean that he is endorsing
it. Yeah.
He's effectively saying it through his editor, basically. Observational science deals with the present.
He's effectively retarded.
I know. Because the present goes away as soon as you observe it. It's a new present right now. All evidence is historical, because it's all in the past. Even the stuff you're doing right now is in the past 2 seconds ago.
I mean, the present is always just a fleeting second or like a millisecond, depending on how far you want to break it down. So either you're always looking in the past or you're always looking at the future. I mean, it's really hard to be in the present.
Right, well, not just that. I mean,
right now, though.
The beginning of this thing right here is now in the past. Like, our video is now in the past.
God.
You know. So even if I did something at the beginning of this, if you go back and watch the video of it, then all of a sudden it's historical and not observational, according to them. Because it's 40 minutes removed from us now. It's exactly the same historical as stuff from thousands of years ago. Because a video, in this regard, is exactly the same as a rock layer.
They're saying, like, no, because they're saying, like, the present, like, now you can witness it and see it. It's within your realm of experience, I think, is what they're saying is the present. I don't think we have to break time down as a concept to argue against them.
Well, no, the problem is there is no difference between present evidence and, like, past evidence. It's all there. We can observe all of it. We can go test rock layers today.
But like we can see this video happening in what they're saying is the present.
Oh, right.
We can go test rock layers and see that they were laid down in the past. I think
we
that's
can
what
also
they mean by
test
the present.
how
not
they're being made
talking
now.
about like the fleeting passing experience.
Right, but I'm saying the videos that I've made in the past are exactly like the rock layers. Nobody saw me make them, but they're still there, and you know how I made them.
It's evident that you made them, and we can figure out how you made them.
Right. But it's
We
still
can
historical,
deconstruct it.
according to their definition.
Oh yeah. Of course it is.
Because that's, yeah. It is directly testable,
Relevant.
observable, and
Yes.
repeatable. Correct. It's this kind of science that develops medical innovations, put man on the moon, and invented Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
Those are three very different things that are of very different
Hold on.
importance.
Let's remember that they said put a man on the moon, because I have a hunch that's going to be relevant later.
Probably. It probably has something to do with...
I haven't read ahead, but
Me neither. I'm
I think
only
that we
as
might
far
be
as
able to-
this. It's more fun
we
if you
might be
don't
able
read
to use
ahead,
that
because then
against
the
them.
surprise is genuine. We're like the PewDiePie.
Yeah, I'm not reading. I told you.
science.
I can't read. Yeah, this is real time live reaction. Hashtag 100%.
Hashtag you laugh, you lose. I'm PewDiePie. Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
the
you
rule
laugh,
is simple.
You lose of science.
You laugh. Well,
You laugh.
okay.
You're getting eliminated. You're eliminated.
I'll be gone in like 5 minutes.
Oh, you're gonna leave us?
Fine.
Oh no, like
Oh yeah. Sorry,
yeah,
I
if you
can't-
like, yeah, if I laugh,
Oh yeah.
I
No,
can
no,
see
I'll
that
lose.
too.
so that's just gonna be a problem for me.
Can mix
A chemist in Canada can mix. Yep, only in Canada. No, not
I get
America.
I get what they're saying. You have to read the whole thing.
I know
and you get what
exactly what
saying.
they're saying, but I still think it's funny that they just picked a country at random. They're like, yeah, some jerk off in Saudi Arabia can look at words. Nobody else can do it. Can mix two chemicals together and
Would you have
record
picked
the
a
result.
different country or what?
I just think it's funny to randomly pick one country and be like, yeah, some guy there can do it. A chemist in Chile can repeat the experiment and get the exact same results. Probably. Doubt they'll be exactly the same, though. But, they'll be the same enough.
I mean, there's always gonna be a margin of error.
Right.
But it just depends. Like, whenever you're doing experiments like that, like, the margin of error has to be below a certain percentage for it to be considered the same or similar.
Well, not
or,
just
like,
that,
consistent.
though. I mean, there's a reason we put observatories in Chile and not in Canada so much. Because it's easier to see through the sky there. You can do the same experiment in Canada, but you're going to get a much different result because of the clarity of the sky when you're observing stars, for example.
I would love to be up north really high or just down south really low. Like, especially up where, like, the North Pole is and stuff, because the sky that you see up there is different than what you would see anywhere else, and you would just see it, like, spin, and not see it necessarily set, which would be just really cool. In my astronomy class, we got to have access to, like, some telescopes and had them, like, capture images of planets and stuff for us, and
cool.
Yeah, it was just the coolest experience.
Sweet.
Being able to, like, see the sky from, like, different parts of Earth and how just the star formations just look a little bit different, or sometimes you can see things that aren't necessarily completely visible, depending on the part of the world you're in.
Cool. So
yeah, I highly suggest everyone, like, if they have a chance in college to take a science class, to take a class like that, because it's just so neat.
In my college science class, we made thermite, and then we blew up a bottle of something, and then we welded some shit.
Yeah, I mean, I did really well in my astronomy class, and I did really well in my geology class. Those were, like, my top science courses. Chemistry and bio were, like, a crapshoot for me, but those two classes I really enjoyed.
Yeah, that's understandable. They are fun classes.
Yeah,
I like chemistry and biology, though. They're fun too. They're just more inconsistent, so to speak, because nature.
Yeah, I'll tell you later about like the horrors of that class and my experience with it. But I mean, I genuinely love science, even though I don't have like a good mind for like every subject.
And AIG continues, observational science is usually not contentious with the public, or, in many cases, even among scientific circles. Parentheses, so screw that. There are exceptions, of course, most notably observational science that involves cloning. Why is that an exception? You can observe it and you can do it. Editing genes, again.
He's saying it's an exception that it's not usually contentious with the public.
Right. Well, okay.
Yeah, not that.
It's not the science that's contentious,
That's
it's the ethics, but Ken Ham doesn't understand ethics. I don't think Avery does either. So that could be part of it.
I think calling it observational science is a little bit funny too. Is that like right? Should you call it observational science?
The way they're talking about it, you would, but then again, it's all in the past. So, I mean, I think it's silly to make that distinction, but...
Cloning, editing genes.
It's observational,
like
you can do it right research. Now, yeah.
Some of it involves observation, but...
It's a more active process.
Yeah, you're creating things like...
They're saying observational is things you can observe while you're alive, basically. Things that you can see yourself. So you can see a thing being cloned. You can see the results currently. The whole point of observational versus historical with Ken Ham is usually so they can say, well, you couldn't see it, so you can't say it's true. But we didn't see Jesus, therefore we know he is true. Or something stupid like that. Because they'll say historical evidence isn't nearly as accurate, and then they'll say the Bible is the most accurate piece of historical evidence ever.
Except for the fact that it's put together by man, and man is supposed to be sinful and unreliable. But we're just going to ignore that little piece.
It's exactly the same as Harry Potter. Like, if you look at Harry Potter, alright, London is a real place. And if you look at the civilizations mentioned in the Bible, they're also real. But it doesn't mean the whole Bible is real. That's like saying that Harry Potter is real because London exists. It's just a silly
I'm just saying, if Harry Potter was real, I would be so pumped.
I don't know.
Like, that would be more exciting to me than the prospect of God being real.
I don't know. If God was real, you could just ask him to make Harry Potter real. I mean... And why would he say no? He'd be like, yeah, that's kind of cool. And here's Pickle Rick, too, right?
I mean, if anybody just looks through, like, the People of Walmart page, God has a sense of humor, so he might.
Yes, he does.
If he does exist.
We could. I wonder, is that still a website?
Yeah, it sure shit is.
Let's go take a look at that. Because that's even more fun than this.
It's gonna be instantly not safe for work. I apologize. Your stream is unmonetizable.
Well, I don't have 10,000 views yet. I can't get money anyway, but I can still get red money. The Bears. Wait, what's all this crap on the other side? That's annoying. Oh, well. That's way too much crap. Wow, that site is advertiser heavy. Holy shit. Okay, they don't need that much money from me.
I mean, you could just do ad block.
Yeah, that takes work and stuff. I don't know.
Oh, all the effort to download and activate something.
That's fine. The advertisers are the ones paying for it. I mean, I guess I really don't care. It's not like I'm paying attention to the ads in the first place, so put all the ads on you want. I'll just ignore them.
I'm just saying, there may be some people from my hometown, or like my college town, that are on peopleofwalmart.com. I'm
from Ohio. If there is something degenerate, we've got someone on it. Whether it's cops or whatever. It just
hurts my heart.
Well, at least Kentucky, you have the excuse of being closer to, like, West Virginia.
Well, I mean, Kentucky has its rednecks.
Yeah, you're on the same parallel is what I'm saying. Up here in Ohio, we don't have that excuse, even though half of us are from West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to see something gorgeous and just beautiful and restore your faith in humanity and believe that there is a chance that God might be real and you might need to go to church, just go to Walmart at like 3 a.m. and just see what humanity has to offer you. Like, especially if you see like a woman yelling with a manager and a cashier about to like throw hands, it's great.
There was a little kid in Walmart today just whistling as loud as he could. Like, just for the hell of it. And it was so annoying. I couldn't even think. The little
See, that
kid
one
was incredibly annoying.
Yeah, I was a kid like that, but I would like fight stuff that was inanimate. So like if there was an Energizer Bunny poster, that bitch was going down. So I mean,
What's up, Lane?
I give kids passes.
Lane,
Deems.
what's he fucking doing?
He's watching us, man. He's lurking. He's being a voyeur. He wants to know how our words come out of our word holes.
I love that. Someone just say
Those
something.
were words.
Words.
You could be a writer for AIG,
I'm like,
man. You strung them words together real nice.
Words. And I said, science. No.
It's just science, no.
Word. And
This segment brought to you
Biological.
by AIG. There are no answers, but they'll tell you they're there. Oh,
Mank
my.
Deems.
We've had plenty of fun
No.
looking at this. Let's see. Oh, good. That doesn't even. Fine. Fine. What was I thinking about?
The rate my poo is gone.
I heard about that, man.
Were you a
Fucking
frequent
sad.
visitor?
No, I wasn't, but I heard about
I went there.
it.
I went there a few times.
A few times?
Oscar.
A few hundred times?
Not a few hundred, probably, no, but there's a couple live streams you could go back and see.
No, you know what? I think that'll be a hard pass.
Yeah, I'm not that interested in it. I think we're done talking about Ken
We were-
Ham, though, because yeah, we don't need to talk about Ken. Lane
I'm
says
bottom line.
no.
Cool, man.
Lane says no. Everybody.
I know. That's why I said don't say no to us. You
Lane
need to
is
keep
the
up.
authority on no, though. That's fair.
Swiggity swoogity, he asks.
It's supposed to be swiggity swooty. There's no GI in the second part.
He can say whatever he wants.
He can, but
Tell him his words are wrong.
his words are wrong.
Is he trying to quote?
You can't just force new memes, man. You just don't do that. It's not cool. Don't
Ben is
Isn't that the pot calling the kettle black?
don't be that guy.
Are you talking shit on Ben? Are you talking shit on my skeleton?
Oh, I forgot the skeleton's name is Ben. I thought it was Coral's brother, Carl.
You can't even see Ben.
Yes, you can. He's
I was
right there.
watching what an Artemis is. Where?
Ben, little Ben's right behind you. That's Ben's son.
That's
Ben.
not. That's not little Ben.
Yes, it is. He's right there.
That's not Ben.
Behind the open sign.
That's not Ben.
That's little Ben. That's also Ben.
Don't be silly. No, it's not.
What do you call him? It looks like a Ben to me.
He doesn't have a name.
Well, he
His
does
name is
now. I
too
called him
small.
Ben.
His name's not Ben.
Why not? It should be Ben.
Oh, the other skeleton's name is Ben.
Right, there can be more than one Ben.
There doesn't need to be.
No, but just because it doesn't need to be doesn't mean it can't be.
Well, there's not going to be.
Lane says you're warned.
You're wrong.
That's my favorite tweet. That's my favorite comment I've ever had. You're warned.
Warm.
Oh, that's
Sorry,
fantastic.
okay.
Everybody, please go tell Lane he's warm. He will appreciate you forever. He will have your babies, and he will make you things.
And a big fat booty on a ding dong.
And a big fat booty on a ding dong.
I just can't get that out of my head.
No.
How did that get stuck in your head?
It's on a fucking internet combat etiquette video.
Oh, I gotcha. I love his videos. I remember what was it? He finished one video and he's like, "Oh, well, what are we gonna be doing next week?" And he like spend something or like pulled something out of a hat. And it was crib death, and so he tried to like
Yeah.
fit it into like a rap musical thing the next time around, which I was horribly disappointed because I wanted him to go there and he pussed out.
Well, that's how it goes. Not all creators are as unsafe for work as we are.
He's pretty not safe for work. His
Well-
tweets to Ted Cruz I live for, though.
Yeah, those are amazing. I watched all the fucking videos. All of them.
He hasn't put one out for a minute, I don't think.
I'll tell you whose videos I watch. I watch Galactic Bubble Productions. Because it's one of the greatest channels on
Here.
YouTube right now. Except for the most recent one with Bearing, that was kind of boring.
Throwing shade at Bering.
Bearing is not...
Because he's a homophobe. Huh?
No, he's just not very exciting if he doesn't have a script. I mean, honestly, that's my only gripe. He sounds like every other
Well,
Australian.
none of us are
though.
very. How exciting are we all being right now?
We're being so exciting. We got one guy really active in the comments. Even man, we're good. We're golden.
Just because he's our friend and he's pitying us. He saw that nobody was watching. He's like, "I'll hang out with these guys so they don't feel bad."
That's fine. We don't have to have all the viewers know we're the best. I mean, come on. I don't need none of this downer attitude, man.
Yarp.
I'm gonna get Johnny over here to run everything.
Did you hear about the news story? It's a smaller news story, I guess, about a church that somebody tried to break into with the head of a Virgin Mary statue.
Well, that sounds weird.
It sounds strangely appropriate.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna break into church, you might as well do it with the Virgin, I guess.
What are you doing, Staggs?
Staggs is clearly doing something.
He's like turtling his neck out.
Turtle. Turtle.
I just looked down. I just see him doing some weird shit, and I'm just like, "What the hell?" You should broadcast and let people see that. Share it with the world.
Share everything with everyone. I've got to get. I gotta copy that.
There
link
are
and share
4
it so
people.
can come join us.
There are 4 people watching.
One of
Yes,
them's
there
me.
are.
One of
Thank
them is
goodness for
not
Lane.
me.
I can't count that high. Numbers are hard.
Numbers are hard. I can count to 21 if I take off all my clothes.
I thought you couldn't read. Learn how to make stuff.
So
more
just
better.
21, not like 23. Just 21. Good to know.
I mean, I guess I could count to 23. I never really thought about that. But that gets confusing. Shit's all sacked up.
You just have to go by touch then, not sight.
Well, it is whatever it is, I guess. It is what it is. Or
Learned how to make stuff more deader. Nice. Nice.
Nice. How dead
So,
are the things
what about
supposed to be?
Well, it's either like you can either like be either you're dead or you're alive.
I guess, but there must
You could be like
there must be stages.
you could be like almost dead. You could be like almost dead, but you're just dead.
I'm not gonna half-ass
And then
it,
once
man.
you're
We're gonna
dead,
do this
once
whole
you're-
thing.
Once you're dead, you can't get any deader. So I suppose there's like degrees of being alive,
That's fair.
but once you're dead, you're gone.
we have
Eseth.
another guest.
Oh, hello.
Eseth is
Oh,
joining
hi.
us.
Hi.
How are you?
How are you doing?
Can you hear me?
How are you doing?
We can hear you.
Can you hear me? Cool. Awesome. You never know with this microphone. So, what did I miss?
We talked about a lot of
nothing.
things. We talked about science and how Ken Ham rejects it. We talked about other stuff, then we made stupid jokes, you know.
Those are the funniest.
All the regular stuff.
Mhm.
All the funny kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, with what are you busy now?
We're just kind of goofing around right now, I guess. Talking about all
Gee,
sorts
I
of
missed all
things.
the fun parts. Meh. I didn't get off earlier. So, hi everyone. Who's here? Who's there?
Hello.
Well, I'm here. Staggerson is
CandidLynn.
here.
And
CandidLynn is
Staggerson.
here.
Nice.
And this is what we're doing on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with the article that he previously pulled up, like one of the people who was like the writing of like the author of it, went to like Liberty University, which was the craziest, I would argue, is one of the craziest universities in the United States. And I knew someone who actually went there, and he was an odd one.
Okay,
It's
but
just-
like, in what sense, Art? What on earth did they teach you there?
Well, it's a college that was founded by a Baptist, like religious, like extremist leader. And so it's more of like if you go through their student handbook, they're very strict. When I was, at least the time that I looked at it. So women have to be dressed up for class, so do men, like skirts. If you listen to music that is ungodly or watch rated R movies, you get demerits and could possibly get expelled. If you do more than like hold hands or something with somebody who's not like your fiance or your husband, you can get expelled for that as well, even off campus if somebody sees you and reports it to your school. Churches compulsory, I can't say that word. Like you have to go, otherwise you get in trouble and you get demerits for that, and can get eventually expelled or fined hundreds of dollars as well. So they really shove religion down your throat, and it's very
Wow.
structured and strict.
Heavy.
Basically.
Yeah, so it's a bag of mixed nuts.
You know, do they also learn something there, or are they just Christians? End of story.
I mean, I think that they have to be like, because they're accredited, they have to have like a baseline where they teach everybody that, but I think that they also throw in a lot of like theology and their own ideas as well. Like I think that it's probably more of like a telling of the line situation.
You can find more information about them at liberty.edu, where they
Yeah.
tell you they have 550 programs of study. So basically with these kind of colleges, there's more than a few of them around where I live. Everything is centered around the idea of it being a seminary, basically. And then you get your majors in whatever, but you always have at least a minor in theology or something. Really weird. But yeah, everything is Jesus themed. You kind of have to be Christian to go to them, or at least go to the Christian classes. Because they make theology and biblical history or ancient texts that are around the Bible or that kind of thing. They make them courses you have to take to graduate. regardless
Yeah,
of
I
what your
went.
major
I went
is.
to a private Catholic school for a year, and theology and philosophy were required for you to graduate.
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know how they can get away
You
with
know,
it. But...
at least they're like open about it. At least they say, "Oh yeah, this is our bias. There you go." I have someone who's a subscriber of mine and who's also a subscriber of Logic, and he's constantly sending me what they do in their college. And it's weird because he was taking a debate class or an argumentation class where you basically learn how to, put forth arguments and so on and so forth. And some of the stuff is really, really good. But then he constantly sends me other kind of propaganda that they shove into it, and just reading those little things that they put in every single text is a nightmare. And I'm thinking to myself, this is just a normal, stereotypical, college. Imagine a religious one. That must be 10 times worse.
Yeah, it's all very strict. It's very weird. And yeah, theological schools or schools that are Jewish or Christian specifically. I'm sure there's Muslim schools too, but it's just not common here in America. But yeah, it's really weird to have theological schools that force you to take classes on certain things that otherwise you wouldn't normally take in any other college.
Yeah. Well, and college is also like, people who go to, private colleges and stuff, at least people that have a certain age. If you look at places like Britain, where they have elementary and middle schools, where, the kids learn the very, very basics, how to learn, how to write, how to read, and then everything else is just complete theology that just goes completely off the end crazy again. And then you have, for example, they had this in Canada now. There is a guy who sues because in his school he barely learned any French. He's super good in Hebrew and so on, but he barely learned any French, so he can't really communicate.
Here in America, though, we have some of that too, but usually that's with homeschoolers, or it's with people like the Amish. Because in the Amish households, or the Mennonites even, or Quakers sometimes, they'll be homeschooled or they'll be in a one-room schoolhouse, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they'll actually learn at home the Pennsylvania Dutch, and English will just be a second language they learn later.
But yeah, at least they learn a second language, though. Like, at least they learn English. They have to communicate.
Right. Although the odd thing is they don't actually have to learn any language because we don't have a national language.
Yeah, that is so weird. And because of that, there are a couple of people, and I had no idea, but I got into this discussion a while ago where someone asked me, when on earth should you learn the language of the country? And I facepalmed because I couldn't imagine a country that doesn't have its own language where you wouldn't learn the language. It just didn't compute. I had a complete shortcut.
And here in America, we're one of the only countries that doesn't have an official language. Everything we do, if somebody wants it, has to be in whatever language they're familiar with. So all of our legal stuff predominantly is English, but it doesn't have to be. But if you go to an area that's predominantly Spanish-speaking or German-speaking or whatever, then a lot of times it'll be in 2 or 3 or 4 or 7 languages. Korean, Chinese, Japanese, whatever, based on where you're at.
Yeah.
Because, we have to do our forms in all of them. Like, if you want to get your driver's license...
Esperanto.
I have my driver's license paper here, but I'm in Ohio. And it's all in English. But if you needed it to be in some other language, you can actually call them or go to the website and get it in the right information. And if you go to the DMV, you can actually have them get a translator on the phone or in person. Because they have to provide it to you legally.
Yeah.
It is really weird that we don't have to learn English.
I was not aware that even exists. And so he just completely shortcutted me. I was like, I had no idea. That was something I did not know about the US, that you don't have a national language.
Nope. And the fun thing is, tomorrow, if I decide I only want to speak Spanish for the rest of my life, I can do it. Legally. And the government has to accommodate that.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
That's like super unpractical.
Well, that's like back in 2010, I helped with the census. I was at one of the questionnaire stations, which nobody ever came to because around here everybody speaks English and knows how to fill out paperwork. I don't think I ever had one person come up and ask me anything. But they had to have all these stations set up because they have to be able to help anybody who has any question at all with the thing. So what that means is, I actually had a sheet,
a waste of money.
a little book. It's kind of a waste of money, but the census is a neat idea.
Yeah.
But I actually had basically a thin little book, and if somebody were to come up and say, you know, what do I do for the census, but they don't speak English, I could show them the book. They could point to their language, and then I could show them all the stuff from that book in their language or whatever. It was really weird. So then if they needed to call somebody, the number would be there in whatever language they speak and so on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's so weird. That is so. But it makes sense for the US. It really does. I mean, partially it would make sense for Canada, but it definitely makes sense for the US, because you are just basically, you're just all immigrants. I mean, even the natives are immigrants to a certain point, and so you have all these languages.
well, the other
But,
point
you know,
is,
like, I was living over there, you know, in the old countries where the language has always been there, right?
right.
And so if you go to Italy, you speak Italian. If you go to Germany, you speak German.
Right.
I went to Poland because I'm a crazy person, and I learned Polish. Not only is it super practical for me as a person, but, you know, I grew up with the idea that it's a thing of respect. Mm-hmm. You know, if you go to a country and you insist that they speak your language, you're kind of disrespecting the country. That's how I was raised, you know? Right. And so when I heard this guy being like, why should this person learn your language? I was shocked. I had no idea.
Well, the other thing you got to remember is, here in America, even before all of us got here, there were a great many different languages spoken here. Because every nation or every tribe had its own language. So the Sioux, for example, are the ones that were the code whisperers, I believe. And the American military took them, the code whisperers, and they would have them speak, like I said, I think it was Sioux. And that's how they would transmit the messages, so they didn't even have to encode them. They were just in the Native American language, and nobody could break it because of the way it worked. It wasn't structured like any other languages that people were familiar with at that time. It's a really cool thing to look into. The code whisperers are really neat. I think the last one died maybe a year or two ago. Really cool story.
A question. If you would have lost World War II, would you all speak German now?
Probably. German was actually the primary language before World War I. Here in America. More people spoke it than they did English.
Because I can still understand the Amish when I hear the Amish speaking on television or something, and they always have the English subtitles. I'm just not even listening to the subtitles because they're having a weird kind of, I don't know, German accent.
Yep, it's Pennsylvania Dutch. It's not actually German. It's weird, but it's based mostly on German. German they call High German because it's different.
No. High German is the standardized German. That doesn't mean that the people actually talk that everywhere.
Well, that's fair. I'm just saying that's how the Amish refer to it around here. They say they speak Low German or Pennsylvania Dutch or whatever.
Yeah, no, but if I listen to them, you know, for example, when I hear them, they clearly have a dialect. It's not like they're speaking, you know, standard German. But if you learn German, if you know German, it's very easy for you to follow if you know more or less how the accents and how the dialects work.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't take German in high school. I took Spanish, though, so I can kind of get around with that. But I don't have any reason to keep it up because I don't use it. So I only know the basics anymore.
Yeah, I took a few years of French, and then I took like a year of German. And German was just the oddest language with the way stuff was structured. But it was really cool. So, I mean, I kind of wish that I put more effort into it back then because I feel like it would have just
If
been a
you
cool
want,
language
we
to
can,
know.
exchange Skype contact and stuff, and you give me a bit of help in English, and I give you a bit of help in German. Because funnily enough, German was the second language I learned, which means I speak it much better than I speak Italian, and I speak it much better than I speak English.
Huh.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
So if you want, we can have a chat.
Yeah,
I
that
might
would
have
be.
a bit of a southerner accent, though.
Yeah, I'm from the South.
Yeah,
I might have a
CandidLynn
southern
sounds like
accent
the
because
South.
the Austrians have a very southern German accent.
Yeah, I'm from Kentucky, so I don't hear my accent that heavy, but everyone I talk to says that I sound very Southern.
Yeah, see, so you will learn Southern German and I will learn Southern English. It's a good deal.
There we
It's
go.
a good trade-off.
Next week, introducing the CandidLynn and Iseth show, where they both talk in
Southern.
very heavy accents, languages they are not native in. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be the biggest, the best. It's going to be huge.
Yeah. The greatest embarrassment for me was because the very first language I learned was Dutch, because I basically was the very first years of my life in the Netherlands, and so my mother was deliberately only speaking Dutch with me. And my Dutch now, because I've never spoken it since years and years and years, sounds like, it sounds Belgian. And that's an insult. If a Dutch person tells you sound like a Belgian, that's an insult.
I see.
And so, every time someone asks me to talk in Dutch, I will talk Dutch, but I will always be like, oh, but I'm just totally a foreigner. I've never learned it myself, just because. Because I will always say it's Belgian.
Well, it could be worse. You could have grown up in America and you could speak English like we do, which is not very well at all most of the time.
We speak English just fine.
No, we speak American.
American.
Whatever. We do it just fine.
I don't know if
Some of us. Some of us better than
Can I
others.
ask a question? No, can I ask a question? How is it possible that the vast majority of you speaks one language and doesn't manage to spell it right? How?
Because we're really good like that. Like, if you go to California, you'll get a lot of people telling you how cool everything is. And they'll all talk like this because they're way spaced out, man. And then when you go down south, you get these people that are way back in the backwoods, and we're going to talk to you really fast. Because then they slur all the words, and they run them all together, and they sound like somebody from some foreign country.
Yeah, but it's one thing if they speak weird, but then you look on Twitter or in your comment section, and those guys are American because you have heard them talk, and then you see them misspell the simplest words, and you look at it and you're like, gosh, and I thought I am bad at English. What did I miss?
You've got to remember, some of that's not actually being misspelled, though. That's just how we spell some of those words. Like, sometimes that is the right way to spell them.
I remember being in class, like in English class and stuff, when we'd have to read out loud. And I was usually one of like 3 or 4 kids in the class that could actually read out loud without it being like horrifying. You know what I mean? Like, this is torture.
Well, that's the thing. English is an incredibly complicated language when it comes down to it, but it's also like one of the simplest. Because you can say just about anything you want and it makes sense because we don't have sentence structure. We don't have to have it. You can do the verb before the subject or the subject before the verb, and it doesn't matter.
I actually, as somebody who's taken a grammar course, I kind of disagree with you. I mean, when you're speaking, that's one thing, but when you're actually writing stuff down, there is set formulas and ways that we put things.
Oh, right. But what I'm saying is, if you are using Spanish, for example, and you reverse the verb and the subject, then you get a completely different thing and they're not referencing each other.
Forget about the whole putting the word before or back. Because, aside from the fact that it always sounds weird when you mess it up, at least to me, the one thing that I noticed is the accents. You have to say the accents. You can't say the accents. You always have to have the dots and the highs on very particular dots, on very particular points in your words, because otherwise they make no sense.
Right. You don't play a
and the same in the
record, you play a
sentences.
record.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And
you
that
attribute
in and of
attributes.
itself,
Well, that's
that in and of itself
because
is already complicated because
said-
you swap that and everyone thinks you talk Chinese to them.
I'll teach you something very simple, he said. In English, as far as the verb versus the noun goes, if you've got a record, that's a noun because the emphasis is not on the first syllable. If you're recording, the emphasis is on the first syllable because it's a verb. That's almost always the case. That's one of the few things that doesn't really have an exception. When the two words are the same thing, if the first syllable has an accent, it's generally a verb. And if it's not the first syllable that has the accent, it's generally a noun.
Wait. But why is it then? Yeah, like that makes no sense.
If you are recording, then you're making a record.
Syllable.
And the emphasis in record is on the re.
Right. Recording, verb, it's on the first syllable. On a
but
noun,
you say recording,
record.
You don't say recording.
But what about attribute?
Right. Attributes are a thing.
noun.
And your trib is the emphasis. Most people just don't say it that way.
Attribute.
But if you're
Attribute,
attributing
and then there's
something, you put it on the at.
No, attribute is a noun, and attribute is a verb.
Right, a trib.
And that doesn't follow the rule as you just...
If you are
Wait it
attributing
out.
something, right?
Yeah. On the second syllable in the verb, and the emphasis is on the first syllable in the noun. But it's the other way around with record. I'm smashing your theory to the ground, man. You
I mean,
can't hang it.
generally, yeah.
I mean, it's not. I mean, really, it's not about where the emphasis is because the way that we say words is very much regional. It's more about the definition of that word and what the prototype is. Like if I say, "There's a dog over there," and before you even see the dog, you have an image of what that is in your mind and the set of characteristics that are associated with that. Typically, 4 legs. Typically, has a tail. Floppy ears, pointed ears, whatever your idea is of that dog. And so, you have this circle of what a dog actually is. It's very narrow, and then it can be widened out. And, that's where you get these variations and differences. It's less about the stress that you put on your words and more of just what it is and the actual thing that you're trying to point out and reference or action. Or, anything else, description.
But yeah, what she
Okay.
said. But yeah, English is complicated. Spanish is really simple. I wish it was our main language. It would be a lot simpler. It all conjugates the same way.
And female, and that's something that's actually fun in English. Everything is just the.
Right, it's all gender
singular,
neutral.
The. Super the. Yeah, that's so funny because, then they come along and they try to, Zify the Spanish language, where, it shouldn't be male and female. In English that works because everything is just the. But the moment you go to languages like Spanish or Italian or even German, it just doesn't make sense because everything has a male, a female, or even a neutral article. Mm-hmm. Der Tisch is male. Der Stuhl is male. Die Tür, the door is female. Mm-hmm. It's a madness. And then same thing in Italian or in Spanish,
Right. Well, and sometimes they get them backwards too.
Yeah, and patriarchy, right? Patriarchy. Patria is female. Just saying.
Right. Well, like in Spanish, you have typically things end with an A if they're feminine, with the O if they're masculine. But you have las manos, which is your hands, which are feminine, but it ends in the O, but you still use the las, las, which designates the feminine, even though it's a masculine word. It's really weird. But it's only one of 4 exceptions to the rule. So
It
it's
might
just
be connected to where it comes from. That might be connected to the Latin.
right. Latin would be a fun language to always speak in.
I did learn Latin. It's a nightmare. If you thought German is complicated, you should check out Latin. Like some of those old texts, because I've noticed this a lot. In English, they really love their full stops. They don't like the commas at all. And so you have those short, nice, sweet sentences everywhere. In German, you have 3-4 commas, and that's not a big issue. In Latin, you have half a page of text and no full stop. That's Latin. And they concatenate sentences into sentences into sentences. So they start one sentence, within that sentence, they start another sentence, within that sentence, they start another sentence, to go back to the first sentence, to then get back to the second sentence. It's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds horrible.
It's
Don't
not,
make.
I mean, yeah. English is more Germanic rather than Latin, so we got the benefit of, yeah.
But Germanic has cases too. I mean,
Oh,
Germanic
yeah.
is a mess too.
That's why
You
we
don't
only use
just
part
have
of it.
Das Buch. You don't have Das Buch, the book. You have des Buches, dem Buche. It's. Ugh.
Well, no, not German, Germanic, like Scandinavian languages.
Scandinavian languages are Germanic.
Yeah, and German is Latin based almost.
Wait.
It's just something we call in
No.
English.
Germanic
Right.
comes from the German tribes. It's not Scandinavian. Those are Scandinavian languages.
Well, no, I mean, no. In English, this is another stupid thing we do. Germanic relates to the Indo-European language family that includes English, German, Dutch, Frisian, Scandinavian, and Gothic. I guess German is part of it. But you're right, Germanic can also mean that it's characterized by Germany. That's weird. I don't know why we do
It's
this.
just the way that you mentioned about how the sentences they reference everything, and it's sentence within sentences within sentences. That really makes a lot of sense with a lot of the legal documents I've read, the older ones.
Yep.
And a lot of the old case law and stuff just gets so convoluted so quickly.
Yeah, no, you have to fish out the parts and then slowly, concatenate everything together. It's weird.
Yeah, so I mean, but that makes sense with the way that they were doing it, because a lot of those older case law, they would they would obviously have known Latin, and that would have been a big thing, and they would want to try to mimic that to seem more sophisticated, and that's where we get I guess our legalese and avoid sort of plain English in courts. But there's been a huge move away from that, where people want to try to put it as simply as possible so everybody can understand, which has been, I think, a positive thing, considering illiteracy is still huge in the United States.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And the thing is also, sorry.
Go ahead.
I mean, legal documents nowadays are a bit like the Bible in the Middle Ages. The few sophisticated people are actually capable of reading Latin, of reading the Bible, of reading what's in the book. Those are just a handful of people, and they can tell you whatever. Whereas if every single person, or at least every single person who can, somewhat decently read, is able to actually read the papers, that makes it so much easier for people to understand what's actually written, and so much easier to understand whether or not someone is messing with them.
Right.
Yeah, especially when people try to bury stuff and hide the ball and try to be extra clever, and it just prevents others from getting hurt or misunderstandings from occurring. But I mean, languages just in general, I'm fascinated by them. I would love to just tour Europe and just go to different countries, because it's odd. It's in America, if you go 500 miles one way or another, a couple hundred in any direction, you might get different climates. But generally speaking, you're going to run into people who speak the same language and will understand you perfectly anywhere. And then with like Europe, if you just travel across, you'll just see different cultures, different language, different architecture, so much different history. I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, and the thing is also because the language itself, I mean, it's not very clear when you just learn the language. But if you travel the place and you learn the language connected to the culture, the language actually expresses the culture. The way people talk to you is part of how they actually act and interact with each other. So in specific places, the way they phrase things within their language tells you what kind of society there is, you know. For example, if you have a bit of a rougher society, they would tend to, you know, be a bit more direct, you know, tell you stuff a bit more, you know, without color coding, in a sense, you know, without extra sugar on top. And then you go to other places where they're like, you know, super sensitive, and then, you know, suddenly the language is just very colorful and very around the point, where they will talk for hours and hours and not say a thing.
Yeah, that's how I feel like a lot of Native American like storytelling culture is, where they will, if you ask them a question, they'll talk around the question, where they won't give you the direct answer because they believe that the information, if they describe it to you and give you enough sort of like information surrounding the answer, that you can come to that conclusion yourself. Where I would say, you know, with some other like cultures, like I might wrap Germany in this, I'm not entirely sure, but Germany and like New Yorkers in particular, and like North America, or the North United States, if you ask them a question, they're going to be very direct. Where in the South, you know, we're going to be more like, oh, how are you doing today? Good, good. Ask how your family's doing, and then if we want something for you, like from you, we'll only do that after we make all those inquiries.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, exactly.
Which I would say, like with France, like it's as far as stuff being actually built into the language, there's like the formal vous, and then there's like the tu, where depending on like your familiarity with the person, like will depend on which one you use.
Well, America kind of does the same thing too, right, y'all?
Where it's like, what are y'all doing later tonight?
You can just type the
Just
letter
drop
U
those.
instead of saying you. And you came from thou anyway, because the Y was the thorn. Literally, the, ye, is thee. Because our Y became a y sound instead of a th sound for some reason.
I'm just saying, if you want a tongue twister, try reading like Beowulf.
Right.
In Old English. It is a pain in the butt.
I can't do it without translations because it all sounds different. I can read a translated version. But anybody can
It's
do
cool.
that.
It's really cool. My Renaissance literature and like English literature teacher made it a point for us to read text and as close to the original dialect as possible, which is just super cool.
Yeah, it's fun to hear stuff written in Old English and everything because it's a completely different language at this point.
Yeah,
Well,
it is.
It's 5 different languages. There's like Middle English, and then there's Early English, and then like King's English halfway in between, then Shakespearean whatever, and then other English.
It's called early. Shakespearean is early modern English, same as the Bible, King James Bible.
And I want to know what this English is we're speaking now. Everybody on the Twitters can't say anything right.
It's modern English.
It's postmodern English. We speak in pictures anymore. I'll show you a GIF and show you why. Yeah.
Speaking of gifts and memes, there's a photo that I saw on Twitter that was gorgeous, where this like a picture of this girl, she's like, I'm wondering what I want to carve into this pumpkin. It has to be something truly terrifying, and it's just text on the pumpkin that says World War III will be started by shit posting on Twitter. Probably. On the internet. Either way, I mean, that's fairly accurate. I feel like just one day Trump's gonna go too far in North Korea, just Kim's gonna get a bee in his bonnet, he's just gonna like shit the bed.
Yeah, he might. I mean, what's he going to do with 1 or 2 nukes, though? Honestly.
Kim Jong.
You know, the question is never. The question is never 2 countries, because the world wars never happens with 2 countries. It's always several countries, you know, connected and then involving into it. Because I mean, if you look at World War I, you didn't really have, all the countries suddenly starting war with each other. But they all had, their secret treaties and their, connections and boundaries. And so it just happened to have this, Austria having, the guy assassinated. Assassinated. And and that just broke loose every chain. If they wouldn't have had all these, alliances and connections, the guy being assassinated would maybe have started a war between two countries, not between the entire world.
Fair enough.
So if North Korea is messing, and North Korea doesn't have too many alliances, which I don't know because I don't know the story too much, but if North Korea doesn't have too many alliances, chances are it's just US against North Korea. But if North Korea has a lot of alliances with, I don't know, China, Russia, who knows, then you end up with a huge mess.
Yeah, China is an ally of North Korea. I know that, but I feel like it's one of those sort of strained ones. But that's mostly because they have to share a border.
I think they're doing it because they have to be friendly right now. But if North Korea does something incredibly stupid, China's not going to jeopardize themselves, I don't think. China's economy is too strong for it to just go screw itself with the rest of the world, I think. So,
I mean, we'll never know unless stuff happens. I mean, that's the thing. We can predict all we want, but until something actually materializes, then it's just speculation.
And let's hope it doesn't happen. People are crazy, I guess. Because if it does happen, there'll probably be another draft, I mean,
maybe, but I won't participate.
Well, I'm too old to be drafted, so I mean, it doesn't matter to me, I guess. But
oh, I'm still young and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
They don't tend to draft people over 30, and I'm 31 in a month, so.
Oh, happy early birthday!
Yeah, I guess. Or what is today? The 20th?
Happy out of draft day.
Yeah, it is 1 month from today. Isn't that great? Hooray! This is the early birthday stream. Also the Cryptmas stream. That's Halloween for those who don't know.
I'm so mad. Walmart already put their Christmas trees out.
Well, sure they did. I think my dad's actually got one up too, but,
It's too... Halloween hasn't happened.
Not even fucking... Thanksgiving hasn't even... Halloween hasn't... Fucking Jesus Christ.
That's fine. People can celebrate their holidays any way they want.
Well, see, what's really cool is that we have a ton of really cool haunted places here. We're haunted houses and stuff. So we have Waverly Hill Sanatorium. We have some really cool haunted cornfields and haunted forests that have people will go out there and set up paths and mazes and stuff to and haunted houses and trails to creep people out that have been around older since before I've been alive, which has been really cool. So there's so much neat stuff in my city this time of year. This is Louisville shines with that kind of thing. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. I have to say, Halloween is just one of a kind celebration. It's really awesome.
It's fun.
You should all get a couple of days off for Halloween. I don't understand why you give up for Christmas, but you don't give up for Halloween.
Every Halloween for the longest time, I'd always watch a Cowboy Bebop movie. Because it's a great movie to watch on Halloween.
Okay.
Because it's it's classic. Basically, if you don't know, Cowboy Bebop's an anime, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And how's that scary?
And the movie takes place during the end of it is kind of at Halloween. They got a big Halloween parade with a big balloon and stuff, and the main villain, they're fighting up on a fake Eiffel Tower kind of thing. It's just a really cool movie to watch. Very spooky. Kind of. Because it gets into your head a little bit and makes you think, too.
I don't know. I love anime, but I just can't get scared of them.
Oh, it's not scary spooky. It's more just regular kind of spooky.
Oh.
I would say the one that gets even slightly spooky, and even then it's not really scary as much as it is just kind of on the gory side, is probably Van Helsing. Where it has Alucard and...
Yep, Helsing's pretty cool.
Yeah. I forget. Is it just Helsing? I forget. I haven't watched it in years now.
Yeah, Helsing is good anime. It's one of the best for being a Halloween kind of thing, because it's all vampires and the animation style's good, the art style's nice. Count of Monte Cristo is pretty cool too because it's kind of trippy visuals, and it's the or Genkutsuo they call it, and it's a fun one to
But,
watch
the
that
thing
time
is,
of year too.
The thing is, Japanese have this very hard time to actually get like, very sinister and very dire, They always have like the cheerful anime kind of style. And so even if they try to make it gory and try to make it evil, somehow they always manage to put in something that like cheers it up, that makes it jolly. And it never really goes full on sinister, which it's one of a kind. It's nice, but it's just missing.
Well, it also depends on what you watch, I guess. There's a lot, like Evangelion is kind of creepy, weird, but then again, it was kind of one of those hit or miss things. People like it or they don't. Speaking of like creepy Japanese stuff, I got a book over there of something. I don't know. Who needs books? We don't need to read, right?
Japanese horror, though, I say is top notch and definitely beats the United States. Like, I think, was it Ringu is the original, like, the Ring movie, which is just a lot more terrifying. I mean, they just do scary really well and suspenseful really well. Another movie that's sort of like suspenseful but not necessarily terrifying with like jump scares would be, I think it was like Martyr, like the French version. That one's pretty crazy. Just stuff that leaves things unexplained and stuff on the table, I think,
that is
are the
also
best
something
movies.
that I really like when they basically, because jump scares are easy to make. If you want to make a Halloween movie, put in jump scares, that's easy to make. But when they actually make movies where you have like the suspense throughout the whole movie, where never really bad things happen, but you're always on the edge because, even if there are no jump scares, it's creepy, it's scary, things are like complicated, you don't really figure them out. I don't know, it's a more fun way of being scared.
Right. I like creepy stuff sometimes. Creepy is fun. Creepy is fun. Creepy is the most kind of fun, I think. If something can creep you out, that's even better than getting a good laugh, in my opinion. Doesn't happen often, but it's more fun.
I mean, I can't think of a time where I've genuinely laughed really hard at a movie in a long time.
Hey, Lane says he thinks we're all weebs, by the way.
I mean, if I'm a weeb, I'm proud to be a weeb, and I'll own up to that, and I don't particularly care.
Weeb is like an otaku.
Ah.
Anime nerd, basically.
I mean, if I'm a nerd, I'm a nerd. I mean, it's fine.
Is it possible to just like anime without being a nerd?
According to Lane, probably not. But I mean, it's. I mean,
what kind of nerd?
Not according.
Oh, I missed something there. The audio skipped. I don't know. Ethan said, "Is it possible to be what kind of nerd?"
No, is it possible to like something and just not being a nerd? Because like the thing is, the moment you bring up anime, chances are that the most known are the most known to everyone. If someone likes to watch anime, that's what they will like. Right. It doesn't necessarily make them nerds, Nerds are the kind of people who go and gather up and pick up furikuri and go crazy over it. Right. Those are the kind of nerds. But, there are people who just like to watch anime once in a while, the same way they like to watch horror movies, the same way they like to watch, I don't know, a soccer, football, whatever kind of sport. And that just doesn't make them nerds. And the thing is, the moment you bring, and it's really just nearly just happening with anime and similar kind of stuff, where they're like, oh, you watched an anime, therefore you're a nerd. In fact, seriously.
Whoa.
That was the cat.
Oh, I heard the cat, and the cat just apologized. Like, I'm sorry, I'm a cat.
Oh, you have a kitty?
Yeah, wait. Let me turn on the camera here for a sec. Meow.
Kitty.
Come here. Yeah, the funny thing is that cat actually comes when you call it.
Oh,
that's a good
cool
cat.
Let me see here. How to turn this around here. Zip.
Uh-oh.
Can you see
Half
anything?
face be real.
Oh,
Kitty.
There we go.
So precious.
Yeah. Okay. That was a cat.
That was a cat.
so adorable. See, I have a dog. I have a Pomeranian, which is basically like a large cat. But my mom has a rag doll, that is just so fluffy and adorable. I love all animals. I think they're wonderful.
Oh. Yeah. No, I have this bad habit that the dog has to be above the knee, because otherwise it's just, not doggy-ish enough for me. I need them big and massive. If they are bears, they're even better dogs. I had like Newfoundlands eventually. But now I have just like this little German Shepherd, Border Collie mix kind of doggy, which is super cute.
Yeah, you would have loved. I had a dog for 15, 16 years, and then, I mean, that's old. So he passed away from like, just old age causes.
Old age, yeah.
Yeah, it was a German Shepherd Timberwolf mix.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a great mixture. Because he was huge. He was around like 125, 150 pounds. And just huge, solid, black, gorgeous, really well behaved, great temperament.
I noticed this so often that, the vast majority of dogs, when they're small, they tend to be so badly educated. And the big dogs, the vast majority of them are nice and peaceful and everything. Mm-hmm. You never have problems with those. When I go around with the big dogs are nearly never a problem. The small dogs always snap and bite, and bite that half is enough.
Yep. Yeah, little dogs, for some reason, act like they gotta make up for something.
Well, it's more like the people don't teach them. Like, if you have a big dog, you can't have the big dog snap at kids.
Right.
If you have a small dog, people are like, yeah, well, it's just a small dog, You just don't give it that attention that it needs to actually be educated.
Oh, look at that. Stags has a dog, too.
Oh.
Puppy dog.
Yeah, doggy.
Well, I think part of the reason is like when they bred small dogs down and got them to the size, they kept a lot of like the big personality traits from when they were larger, especially like Pomeranians. They used to be like 25, 50 pounds. And sometimes you can get a throwback that is that large. But, when they were breeding them down, they didn't get rid of their personalities because they used to be, descendants and were sled dogs at one point, kind of like huskies.
Oh. Sorry about that.
Beep beep.
Yeah, no, that's always the stupid thing when you use your phone to do stuff, and then suddenly just someone thinks it's funny to send you a message.
Yeah, that's what people do. They send messages. They got something to tell you.
I don't even know where my phone is right now. I think it's another.
Yeah. No, I have to say it's very convenient that people like really message a lot and like socialize a lot, because I always misplace my phone, and all I have to do is wait a couple of minutes until someone sends something or tweets something or that I follow that's posts something on whatever, Facebook, you name it, and then I know where my phone is. It's like socialized phone finding.
That's a good backup plan.
All I have to do is wait for a Discord like message to pop up, and then usually I'll be able to find it pretty quickly, so I know what you mean there.
Yeah.
I hear birds?
No, that's a toy.
Oh, all right.
No, we got this toy, and at first, we thought it's fun for the cat. But the cat just doesn't like it that much. But the dog is chewing on it, and he's chewing on it since, I think it's over a year that he chews on it. Every toy until now got broke within 5 minutes. This toy is here since 1 year. It's still squeaking. It's still whole. I have no idea what to do with it.
That's a great toy, though. I mean, to last that long and be through that much like abuse from a dog, like that's pretty impressive.
It's very high quality.
If I would have known, I would have bought another one, but I had no idea.
Well, if you had known, you wouldn't need to buy another because it's going to last forever.
Well, no, you always want the second one, because after 5 years, when the first one is gone, you have a second one without, having to look again for it because it's not there anymore.
Well, that's fair. All right.
Yeah, my dogs, they don't really play with like any toys, but if I give like my dog a piece of popcorn, he like spazzes out and will bat it around the floor rather than eat it. So he's just really bizarre. It's that way with like popcorn, and if I try to give him
He's
like,
basically treating it like a cat, swiping it around.
yeah, it's just, have never seen a dog do that. And he gets excited and he'll spin himself around in circles, and he spun himself like off the bed before or like into walls. So he's just special. He's just unique.
Yeah, no, I have the same thing with the cat, where it's like, this is not a cat. Never scratches, never swipes, hardly ever claws, you know. When you call it, it comes, you know. When you give it commands, it actually follows them. It's like you can teach this cat tricks easily. This is not a cat.
You might be able to teach it to like flush the toilet and use it.
If you get the
well,
cats when they're little,
he
they're
has,
easy
like-
to train sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but like, you know, usually you have to put in the effort and you have to find some sweets or something that the cat actually likes to even bother to participate, and then sometimes they're not into it. This cat, you can call him. It doesn't matter if you're a treat or not. The cat will just come. You know, cat hears you call in a bit of a nice voice and he just comes along. I'm here. What do you want? It's amazing.
Cool. Cats are great. Dogs are cool too. Y'all were quiet there, Stags.
Yeah.
We're talking about cats. You haven't said.
I
very
can
much.
hear you. I like cats. Cats are cool, man.
I can't
And dogs are
believe it.
cool
I can't
too.
believe it. That's like the perfect timing. Right about as I was to say that this bird is indestructible, she managed to bite in a tiny hole. I can't believe this. Look at this. Yeah, you made it. You made it after a year. You made it. Well, well done. Yeah. Come here, Snuggles. Oh. Oh. Belly up pets. There we go. Yosh.
He's a good dog. Lane says, do you breathe air? Do you drink water? So do weaves. Hashtag one of us. We even like animals, just like a weed.
Some people though, they take their love of animals too far. Just they just it's,
Well, yeah.
the furries. It just no. Just
Nope.
Oh, let
There's
them
a-
have their fun.
You know, everyone his own. Eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a convention of them, I think, that goes down like every year close to where I live, and that's just, I'm just waiting to like walk into like say a Walmart one day or a McDonald's and just feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone.
I've been to a few anime conventions, so I've seen furries before. It's not a big deal. They're just costumes.
Well, I've been to anime conventions too.
It's kind of fun though. There is this comic games and comic and games kind of artsy thing where they basically, it's in Italy, they take the whole entire city, or at least the city center, and they turn the whole city into a convention. It's absolutely amazing.
That's cool.
And so you go around through the city, sit down on a bar, on a cafe, drink your coffee, eat your brioche, and you will just have, I don't know, Naruto passing by, Inuyasha from the other side. Suddenly over there, Darth Vader fights with, I don't know who. It's absolutely hilarious. I love it. And then you have even the guys who are into this whole, you know, medieval fighting stuff, where you get like the old, super old style swords. Obviously, you know, it's Italy, so none of it is ever sharp. And also, you would hurt yourself quite a bit if it was. And then you see the guys fighting around and showing you techniques. I love it. It's really cool. I was there twice.
It's really neat that like, you know, it stretches out just worldwide where people can just get together and just fly like their freak flag, or just, you know, just go all out with like their passion. That's just really cool.
Yeah,
You know, it's also a bit of a different thing. Like every day, you know, you go to work, you go home. It's a great day. It happens every day. And then suddenly you go out, you go to a bar, you drink a coffee, and then you see all kinds of comics and anime persons passing by, and then you see a couple of, you know, video game people passing by. It's just, it cheers you up, kind of.
Yeah, I remember I went to Labor Day weekend. I went down to Tampa, St. Pete, and Atlanta because I was going to visit my sister. But I stopped in Atlanta for a night just because, well, 2 nights, but one night, the first night, I stopped down there because the drive down there is like 12, 14 hours, and I'm just not going to do that. And I got to hang out with Poisoning the Well and a couple, like my friend that was down there, and then Jester as well. And it was during Dragon Con, so you got to see like the parade of just all these people dressed up, which is really cool, and everybody in their costumes just walking around them, the night I was there and then at that parade. And it was just so cool just to see some of the effort and creativity that went into these people's costumes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, conventions are a lot of fun. I wish I could have got down there, but Georgia is too far away.
Yeah,
I mean, to say, I'm really curious how Poisoning the Well are in real life, because especially on camera and in streams and stuff, they're always like super hyper entertaining. And every time I think by myself, okay, imagine I step out from whatever, bus, car, train, whatever, and I stand in front of those two guys. It's like hyper entertainment, and I'm like, I am not sure I can handle that in real life. I mean, on camera it's fun, but in real life it's like, okay, you're cool, you're fun. I'm just kind of scared. I don't know what to do.
No, I will say they are very nice. They're all three of them. There's Clever Jester, which makes an appearance from time to time, and Pat and Sophane. They're all really cool guys. I'm
sure they're cool. I'm sure they're awesome. The question is how entertained kinda are. How should I say this? How much out of the norm do they get? In what kind of crazy path do they drag you in? What kind of repertoire do they have? Will you go along there and then suddenly they're like, oh yeah, let's go into this bar, and you go into this bar and everything is on its head and stuff like that, that kind of stuff. It's like
when I went to
and it suddenly turns into Alice in Wonderland.
It wasn't so much like that, but it was, definitely Sophane is very entertaining. He's a huge personality. But I went and met him and Jester and my friend at the bar. And we had drinks, and then we wandered upstairs, and they got some food, and we just all hung out, and it was just a really cool, just chill, sort of eating. There was no super huge shenanigans or anything, but
no, but I think I got the gist. Where it's like, if I ever meet Sophane, I have to make sure I'm drunk before I step out, and I will be fine. No, because nice is cool, but when I'm too nervous, then I just can't have nice too much, and so I have to make sure that I'm drunk enough to not understand that I'm nervous, and then I can step out and I can go full on Sophane with Sophane. It will be all fine.
It's fun. I drank a bottle of champagne before I hung out with them.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's fine. I completely understand that sentiment. But I would say, if you have the opportunity to hang out with them, I would say go for it, because they're cool guys, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet. I'm really curious to meet them one day.
They sound pretty cool. I imagine they're pretty much like they are on camera when they're off camera.
Yeah.
They just seem like that's the kind of person they are, generally.
Yeah, no, they seem genuinely just, super, super cheerful, super high people.
Well, I like being around positive people just in general, because I see so much negative just in my day-to-day life. So having a break from all the bad stuff and just the messed up things that I read, it is a huge relief.
I bet.
So yeah, well, it's just because I was an English major in undergrad, but I'm in law school now, so I'm always reading different cases and stuff in my classes in law school. So you never get to read stuff where things end happily. You're always reading stuff that went up to the appellate court or the Supreme Court, and you can see some really messed up stuff happening if you go back far enough. Even nowadays.
Yeah. Well, it's laughing. It's a bit like if you go into forensics, you will never see a happy couple. We always stab people. It's kind of the thing.
Is that really?
You know, like it's a focus. You know, if you learn a specific, like if you go for medicine, if you're a medic, you will never have healthy people coming to you. You will always have sick people, and you will always have wounds and weird stuff that oozes. I mean, that's your job. That's what you're learning. So you will have a focus on that. That's what they will show you. They will never show you like cheerful, happy people just like that. Just yeah. I mean, they will show you that when you have to go to the circus, maybe, but not when you have to go to like law school.
Mm-hmm. Right. See, if I went to France, I would love to go to that bridge where you put like the locks on it. I think it's in Paris. So I think it's like where it's like a lover's bridge or something where people will go and like put their locks on there. I think that would be really cool, and seeing the Eiffel Tower and going through like the museums.
That's actually very common, you know?
Yeah.
That's like, you know, I know the one in France is very known, but for example, in Bolzano, in the north of Italy, they have this Talvera bridge, where every end of high school, the ones who finished and completed their, high school program, they go out and attach their locks to the bridge. It's like I was locked up in school and now I'm free, so I'm locking up the bridge, kind of thing. So these kind of things are actually very common.
That's kind of neat, but it's kind of weird too.
Yeah, but it's cool because now they have to remove them once in a while because they're just too many. And then sometimes they paint the bridge and they just paint the locks together with the bridge. It just really looks fun.
They're keeping the lock industry alive in France.
I'm trying to think if we have anything similar to that here, and I don't think we really do. I mean, we have
just really start that. You have so many traditions that you don't have. Shame
we have
on
graffiti.
You.
Graffiti is a very American thing.
Well, I mean, we have the Kentucky Derby here, and we have Thunder over Louisville, but those are like big city events. We don't have something that's sort of small and sort of quaint.
We got NASCAR.
In Indiana.
I have to say, that's one thing I noticed a lot in North America. You lost so many of these coquillare traditions that you had in the old countries before you left.
Right.
All those little celebrations. For example, you have Thanksgiving, then you have Halloween, and then you have Christmas.
Right.
What you don't have is you don't have the Thanksgiving the way they have it, for example, where you have to give the pear to the partner that you want, because otherwise it's bad luck. And for Easter, you get the eggs painted from your partner, because otherwise it's bad luck. And then you don't have the tradition where, for example, for the 5th, you don't have chocolate in your boots, because it's, from Santa Claus, you get the chocolates in the boot the 5th of December. And then the 24th, you get actually parcels from, Jesus, not from Santa Claus. And then you have the Krampus, which is a very fun thing, because you basically have the people who go for the draft, or at least for the military, who dress themselves up like devils and run through the village with their fancy dress and everything. It's absolutely hilarious. It's not Halloween, but it's hilarious. And then,
strange, yeah.
For the 5th of January, you have the little witch coming around and bringing parcels in socks, There's so much that you don't have anymore.
Yeah,
so why can't America be cool? All those Puritans ruined everything.
Oh, we've got cool things. They're just not the same cool things we used to have. We've got shooting sports in the Olympics. I mean, come on. We put a man on the moon with a rocket.
Yeah, well, that was cool, I guess.
I mean,
do you celebrate that then? Because that's the fun part. The fun part is not just having something happening. The fun part is celebrating it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have the 4th of July. That's when we set off all the rockets. It's a lot of fun. You get drunk and you do fireworks. Woohoo!
And it ends up on YouTube.
It does.
In Italy, in February, they have like this 1 week where they basically go around dressed up, where everyone just dresses up a bit like in Halloween, but then it's Carnival, like the German Carnival, which is in October. They just put it on different dates, where everyone can just go crazy. And then everyone gets like, particular muffins or particular krapfen, I don't know how to call it. And I don't know, it's just so many things that you don't celebrate here, man.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of particular specific celebrations. That's fair.
I'd like to experience a German Christmas. I feel like that would be really cool.
But then again, we Americans, we grill out almost every day in the summer sometimes. Like, every day is a celebration for some people.
Yeah, we live in America.
We don't
need to
confine it to
celebrate
one
every
day. We just do the crazy shit all year. We have Easter, and then we have another holiday that follows it, and then we have every weekend is a party if you go to the right bar, and you get people to do the crazy stuff like running through town naked or whatever. Like
There's a naked run at some colleges.
Yeah, we don't save it for just like one day a year. We just go out and do it whenever. That is the reason we're alive.
It depends how cold it is. Because that was the one thing in Poland that I found very, very hilarious. Where one day, start of winter, I think it was, every start of winter they would all go naked to the subways.
That's different. Here you'd get arrested for that, I think.
Well, it was one day. It's not like they go around naked every day, but it's funny because it's more like a wintry day, so it's winter. And to celebrate winter, people just go around naked. It's just, I don't know, it's fun.
That's weird.
I always look forward to this time of year because Thanksgiving's coming up, and everybody cooks their turkeys, roasts them. It's delicious.
Any holiday dedicated to food is my favorite holiday.
Yeah, I cook every year, and it's fantastic. But I live for the people who try to deep fry their turkeys and mess it up horribly.
Yep, just drop in the whole thing all at once. Catch it on fire. Have a good time.
Yeah, and some people catch their roofs on fire, and it's like, why are you doing it that close to your house? That is a horrible mistake.
Because they want the fireball to take over everything.
Well, they use too much oil, and it's too hot, and that's why it catches fire.
Yeah, the water goes and splatters the oil and
wood.
Bloom.
If it would be made out of concrete, it would be much harder to get on fire.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Because that's something I've noticed here. Every bloody house that is not a skyscraper is made out of wood.
Right, that's the point. We make our stuff out of wood because we all have wood.
Yeah, but it's also the stuff that falls apart easier.
Right, but it also still lasts 200 or 300 years if you build it right.
Which you don't do if you don't have the money, which you don't do if you want to make it cheap because you want to make a lot of houses because you want to sell them.
Right, yeah, this is America. We like capitalism, I guess. We've also got a lot of trees.
I like those older homes. We have them here in a specific part of town where they go to the old I don't know what they're called, stoneries, masonries or something, where they go and get all these huge, just irregular shaped stones, and they use that as the foundation, the outside wall. So you get these sort of cottage looking homes that are just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You should go to Tuscany because they have there from the ground a very nice red stone, which is very nice. And so they build the houses out of these, and you go into the villages and they have houses upon houses upon houses, all made out of the red stone. It looks absolutely amazing.
Cool.
That does sound wonderful, and just the idea of going to Tuscany, I'm not gonna say is not a bad idea at all.
Italy has so much nice landscape. They have horrible stuff as well, a lot of horrible stuff, and way too many immigrants right now, but they have so many beautiful things.
Yeah, my sister was there a year ago, and she brought back a lot of photos of where she went. I think she went to Milan, and I think she went to one other place and took a pasta making class. And I mean, it's beautiful. It's absolutely
stunning. When she was in
stunning.
Milano, did she go to the bull where you have to, go around the balls of the bull so that you will come back?
I'm not sure, but I could ask her.
No, because there is this place, I think it was in Milano, where basically they have this little affresco on the ground. No, it's not a fresco. What is it? Whatever. They have on the ground this bull made of stone. And you have to basically put your foot in and then turn around yourself with the heel inside of the hole that is already digged, because everyone does it. It's where the balls of the bull are. And when you do that, it means you will come back. Or at least, that's how the tradition goes. I don't know.
That's cool. I'll have to ask her about that. If she heard about that while she was there, because she went there and then she went to Berlin and then she came back to America, and then she just got back from Japan this past spring. And I think she got to see the cherry blossoms. which that just sounds really awesome.
Okay,
I bet
I
it
have a
smells
weird
great.
question. Because it happened to me once. We had American people over, and they started telling me where they went. And they said, yeah, we went to Venice, and we went to, I don't know what it was, Berlin, Munich, whatever, we name a city. And we went to Rome, and we went to Switzerland. And I'm looking at them and like, where in Switzerland? Yeah, Switzerland. As if that's a city, you know? I was completely shocked.
Well, at the same time, though, if you go to America here, if I say I went down to Georgia, most people aren't going to say, where did I go in Georgia?
Well, I just don't remember specifically where she went to in Japan. I don't remember which city she ended up going to. I just know she went to that country.
No, but those people actually made the trip. I encountered them while they were making the trip. And so they showed me, you know, look, we're going, you know, to Paris, and we're going to Berlin, and we're going here, and we're going there, and we go to Switzerland, you know? Just Switzerland.
Maybe they couldn't pronounce the name of the city.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. They just
probably
they weren't even gonna
really
try to
simple,
butcher
right?
it.
Maybe they thought
and I
Switzerland
do feel-
was. I mean, all right. Hashtag Switzerland is my city. There we go. Great.
Yeah.
Welcome
feel
to
like
America, where
Switzerland.
countries are cities. Don't you know?
Well, I mean, I feel like with some places, like there's iconic cities that everybody knows, but then there may be some countries, you know, where there's cities that are well known, but not as well known as, like, say, Paris, Milan, Berlin, New York City, that kind of thing. So it's
Right.
easier to sometimes just say the country rather than follow it up with, oh, where was that? But I mean, that just, I feel like that's such a way to, like, give an end to, like, have a better conversation with somebody, because then they're like, oh, that's neat. I didn't know that place was there. What was it like?
Then again, on the other
Who knows?
hand, if I drag somebody around Amish country for a day, they're not going to remember what all the cities were either, because they're all little villages that, yeah, they all have
No,
names.
it's just if you really have like a vacation and you have goals, you kind of it's like Switzerland is your goal. There are so many things in Switzerland. I mean, sure, it's a very tiny country, but it doesn't mean there is not a lot to see. Like, you know.
Yeah, you
No,
should
it
know
was
where you're
confusing.
going.
For me
and what
personally, it
city
was
you
very,
should
very confusing, especially because they only named cities, you know? It's not like they said, oh, yeah, we went to Italy, and then we went to France, and then no, it's every single city plus Switzerland.
Maybe they're just weird people.
Yeah.
They're just peculiar. That's what I'm getting from this. They're just odd.
We have those people here, those odd people.
Oh, yeah.
America's
Oh, yeah.
They
full
clearly
of
had
odd
fun.
people.
They clearly had fun. Good for them. I'm not gonna judge. It was just weird.
We got the oddest people here. We got the greatest odd people here.
Yeah, we do crazy well. We do crazy pretty well.
Yeah, unfortunately, we do.
Oh, good. I know that as far as just villages, though, my grandparents and my family, a lot of them live up in, like, upstate New York, and it's really weird because it goes from, like, small towns to them actually calling where they live villages. So it's like the village of X, Y, and Z, you know.
Oh yeah, that's
like
what we
this
do
little
here
town.
too, because most of our places are tiny. Like this little place I live in has fewer than 2,000 people. It's a village.
Yeah, that's so bizarre to me.
And then, you know, people live between here and the next one, but, you know, they're not very big places. Then you got, you know, Cleveland and Columbus and Cincinnati and Toledo and then they all get smaller from there, basically. Akron, Youngstown. Yeah, and then they all get tiny.
Yeah, I love big cities. I really would, like, I love where I live now, but my heart's calling to, like, a bigger city. I just don't know where that is yet.
I'm just the opposite. I like living somewhere away from people as much as I can and still have a reasonable
That is so
cost of
odd.
living.
That is so odd. Now that you two mention it, because when I was living in yeah, you would probably call it town more than village, but I call it village because in Italian it's called villaggio. When I was living in a village, I couldn't stand it. I always wanted to go to the city because, you know, the city had just more stuff. And generally in the village, everything closes at inhumane hours. If you get hungry at 10, you just don't get anything. And then eventually, you know, I moved all the way to Warsaw. which is, this huge, massive city, and I loved it. But then now here in Edmonton, I'm still in a big city. It's not even remotely as, cramped as Warsaw was. But it's just too many people for me. I don't get it. Right?
Well,
there's so few people packed together, comparatively speaking.
right.
And yet, Warsaw was fine, and Edmonton was not. It's so weird.
Well, and that's like when I went down to West Virginia. I went down by, like, Parkersburg. And Parkersburg is a big city. But it's only about as dense as where I live in this tiny village. Like, you go to the city and it doesn't look like a regular city down there. It's even more urban than here. Because there's still a lot of room between the houses and stuff.
Well, yeah, but that's one thing, being cramped or not cramped, that's one thing. But the thing that really got to me was when I said I really liked staying in a cramped city. I liked the city cramped. But now I'm staying in the city and it's too cramped for me, even though it's not even remotely as cramped as the city was. The previous city.
And that's like the other thing I don't like about big
thing.
cities is there's just too many people, in my opinion. I'm not one of the people that wants to go out and have the nightlife and everything. I like being out in the middle of nowhere, kind of by myself.
See, I'm the opposite. I love like endless possibilities. I love meeting new people all the time. If I can meet a new person every day, then that sounds awesome to me. So it's
I do have that
But
opportunity.
partially when
That's
you're-
fair.
But partially when you live in a big city, you don't even have that. Like, the more you live in a big city, the more people tend to just be like, oh yeah, I'm myself and you're yourself, and let's just not talk too much to each other.
Right.
Or at least I experienced that.
I think it depends. Like, I feel like in New York City that would be the case, but especially where like I'm at, and when I was down in like Tampa in particular, I just feel like the South in general is a little bit more friendlier than the rest of the country.
You
Well, that's
should
true.
visit, let's see. I think Firenze might be the city for you, because I had this experience, this very hilarious experience in Firenze, where, the places are very cramped, they're very tight. Yeah, it's very small, it's very tiny, because there's just not much space. Even the houses, they're squeezed together. It's very pretty. But what happens is the people there are usually very communicative, and so they will talk a lot to you. And you will sit, or you will go to the toilet, or you will sit in your room and just, open the window. And the neighbor on the other side will see you, open the window, and just start chatting with you, because it's fun. Never seen this person, you don't
That's
know who it
weird.
is, but they will
Yeah.
just chat with you. It's fun. And then, for example, you have those people who are like, yeah, come, I invite you for a coffee. And you think by yourself, holy smokes, okay, I've never seen this person in my life. I'm brave, whatever, you go with this person. And then this person goes into the little, place, the little house. And they will cook you food, and it will be super tasty, because who cares, they invite someone, it's fun. They do that all the time. And then, because they can cook super food, but they cannot cook the coffee, so they will take their coffee machine, send it down to the neighbor downstairs via, string telephone, down to the old nana downstairs, and she will cook the coffee and send it back up, There are things
That's
going
so
on in
cool.
Italy that are just absolutely amazing. You should see that.
Yeah.
What city is
Huh.
it?
I think it was Firenze, but if you will find that in a lot of places in Italy. That's just the one where it's like super cramped by default. But it's
How do you
also very
spell
touristy,
that?
so
Florence,
chances are that
she's
in other
saying.
cities you may have more.
Is it ENC? Yeah.
It's Florence, just like Kentucky, but it's in Italy.
Okay.
We just say it different because Americans don't accent the silent E's.
Okay.
But no, in Italy it is Florencia, or, But-
Firenze, yeah.
But in Kentucky it's Florence.
Yeah, that is. It's sort of like we have Versailles instead of Versailles.
Well, that's
Yeah.
like one of the main towns over in Amish country is Berlin.
Yeah, so that threw me for a loop like a little bit.
But if you go to Germany, you go to Berlin.
Oh, that's
There's
beautiful.
a town in Utah that's called Hurricane, but it's spelled hurricane,
Yep.
but it's pronounced hurricane.
Because that's how some people say it, yeah. Well, that's like if you
That's
go
how
down to
it's
Louisville,
said.
you wouldn't say Louisville.
Oh yeah, we'll judge you super hard for that. That's how we know you're not from here.
Well, up here we just say Louisville just to piss y'all off.
Well, like, here's the thing: is that it's like it's Louisville, but some people just go Louisville. So you just have to say it like you're slurred.
Louisville.
So, did you hear him?
I heard something.
Yeah, that was Marty. He was like, say it like you're drunk.
Louisville.
That's
kinda how
like
you're
up here in
supposed to say
Ohio.
Louisiana, too.
There's
Louisiana.
a town called Lewiston, which is Lewis, so you know how to pronounce it. You can't mispronounce it. It's got a W in
Okay.
it.
Yeah, there's like a
Cool.
tourist place downtown near the courthouse, and there's a shop that has all these different pronunciations of the city on it, and it actually has it where it's spelled out the way that you would say it. And I will say only 2 of those are correct if like you're a native here and that's the way that you're gonna say it.
Well, that's like down in Texas, you got Houston, but up here in Ohio, we got Houston.
Oh, that's bizarre. That's
Houston,
so weird.
Ohio.
That's fucked up. No wonder nobody likes Ohio.
Everybody
God.
loves Ohio. What are you talking about?
No, I don't like Ohio. Cincinnati's pretty cool though. I do like Cincinnati.
Ooh, Cincinnati's like our armpit, man.
The highways are awful.
Should I confess to you all that I have no idea what you're talking about? Because I was always thrown out from the geography classes because I was never paying attention.
It's not really geography. It just happens to be that we know these areas because we live here.
Yeah, we're
Because
all...
like you say all these words and it's like, yeah, America, I heard something about that in school, that's somewhere below, you know, on the upper part, somewhere above Mexico, somewhere below this frosty place that no one really knows what it's called, you know?
Yep.
Kind of like that.
That's about right.
Kind of
That's,
big-ish.
Yeah.
honestly, that's about all some Americans know, so you know.
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky...
And then, yeah. And you speak all these, you know, different accents there, and you know all these different places. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard that name before. I have no idea if it's in the north or in the south. I wouldn't be able to understand, you know, how I'm supposed to, you know, pinpoint what kind of people ought to be living there. If they're religious, not religious. If they're like super traditional, not traditional.
Oh.
It doesn't matter.
Oh.
It's just America, kind of thing.
We're all religious. We're not all religious, but Americans, you can pretty much point at a crowd of Americans and you're going to be pointing at a crowd of religious people.
Pretty much because the religious people tend to move in crowds. I mean, yeah.
So if they're single, if they're like, you know, going alone singularly, then you're more likely to have like a non-believer. Is that what you're saying?
No, those are most likely to be
that
Krishnas or something.
If you just point at a random person in America, it's probably going to be a Christian.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, especially once you get into like the South too, like in Kentucky in particular, we have a lot of Baptists here. Like that's a huge thing, and Catholics, I would say, is our like second most popular.
And Southern Baptists are very different from Northern Baptists.
Yes, they are. So that, because I was raised Baptist originally, and then I ended up an atheist. So go figure. But you do like the easiest way to point people out who are like Christian typically is just seeing who's best dressed on Sunday. I mean, that's the only real way to point it out.
And then if you go around here, a lot of people go to church in just regular clothes.
Wait. Do you have on Sundays the stores open?
Liquor stores, no, when you get into the dry counties, because we still have places that don't sell alcohol on Sundays here.
We got that also.
In my city, they'll sell till about like I would say like 5 o'clock, maybe. Like they close early. But Chick-fil-A's closed, and then liquor stores are typically closed. But I don't know of too many other places outside of like banks and like government agencies that are closed on Sundays. But they're not they're not open on Saturday either. So that's not like a religious thing.
The reason I'm asking is because usually what tends to happen is if you go to the store on Sunday on a specific time, like in the morning, for example, the only people you see around are the non-believers. That's how I find the non-believers in Poland. That's my strategy to find non-believers. I don't know.
Here in America, that doesn't even work anymore because young people aren't going to church as much. So even if they believe, they're still going out on Sunday and doing whatever because they got crap to do.
Yeah, that's my errand running day, but I do say like you need to avoid like the restaurants on Sundays around here, especially like if you want to like go to like a buffet or something with like your family. Like that's where you find a lot of church people too on Sunday, and they are the worst tippers. They'll tip it, and here's the thing: is that rather than being generous and actually giving them a proper tip for like this huge group of like 6 or 12 that they brought in, they'll leave like a pamphlet that says Jesus loves you, but it has a prayer. Yeah.
Around here, it's kind of the opposite because we get a lot of Amish and we get a lot of tourists. So anybody who's a tourist tends to tip okay because they kind of expect that's what they're going to do when they go on vacation. Unless they're tourists from countries that don't tip.
Well, that's the thing, you know, like when Logic and I went to Italy, no one really tips there. First of all, vast majority of people don't have money, and so they don't tip. But if they tip, they don't really tip much. And so you get him going over and being like, yeah, couple of bucks, just tip a couple of bucks, you know, $5, $6, something like that. And the waiter is just like, yeah, you know, you will get like an extra liquor, and then you make sure to come again, because that's about the highest tip he has seen that evening, you know?
Well, and that's like my friend. He went to Taiwan, and after 2 or 3 years he come back, and we go out to eat at the restaurant, and he forgot that tipping is a thing. And he's like, oh, shoot, you're supposed to leave extra money here after the bill, aren't you? And mind you, he grew up here in the States, and he even thought that was odd when he come back. He's like, why do you guys do that? Like, he had done it for so long, and then left for 3 years. Taiwan, they just don't tip, I guess.
But the thing is, the whole idea of tipping is the people who do a good job should basically get value out of it. And if there is this thing where you have to tip, that just falls flat, because now everyone tips and everything gets tipped, and it's like you feel forced to tip, which is nonsense.
Right. Well, the other thing is, here in America, it's part of the wage. If you're a tipped employee, your employer doesn't have to pay you as much as a regular employee.
Yeah, federal minimum wage, I think it's like $7 or something, and then like that is just the minimum they have to pay you. But
here
with
in
waiters
Ohio,
and
it's like
stuff,
8 and 4, I think.
Yeah, but with waiters and stuff, it'll be like $2, $3 because the tips make up for that, which I think is crap. But I mean, there is something in the law where if you don't make minimum wage per hour, then they have, like, your employer has to compensate you for that time.
Yep.
If your wage plus your tips doesn't equal what minimum wage would have got you.
Which is stupid, because tips are supposed to be above and beyond your wage anyway. It's the point.
But in Washington State, they have to pay you the minimum wage, plus you get tips.
Right,
like,
that's how it should be in the first place.
They pay actual minimum wage.
Something you're supposed to work for, yeah. Everyone should get the same minimum wage, you know.
Yeah, and then they make advertisement, for example, for people where where they say, okay, you don't have to tip. We do not accept tip in order to get more clients because they don't feel the need to tip. And then it also feels stupid because, hey, you have a person who's actually very, very diligent there. You kind of want to tip him, but he's not even allowed to take the tip because it's a place where they just don't take tips.
Right. Yeah, we don't have very much of that here because then people wouldn't work there. Because if people know they can go somewhere else and get tips, they're still going to make it up in another place generally.
I mean, there's some places, like especially bars, there'll be bars where you don't get paid at all by like the employer. It's just all the tips are pulled and then they get broken up between the bartenders at the end of the night.
Well, and then you've got some people that are bartenders around here that work like a third of the hours that I do, and they make 3 or 4 times the amount of money I do working in a factory. Like, there's a great disparity of wage between tipped employees on the top and the bottom end, just in the same industries even. So you can go to 2 bars that are basically the same, just in different areas, or have different staff or whatever. And the other thing is, I've also found out, women, for some reason, can pull in 3 to 4 times the tips that men can, regardless of who the person tipping them is.
Oh yeah, they just have to show off their sweater puppies or wear like.
No, not even that. Women will tip women more too, for some reason.
Well, yeah, I mean,
as
there's
a general
that as
trend,
well.
But yeah, it's really
well, I mean, I mean, it depends. It really depends. Like, I'll tip extra well if a bartender's super attentive towards me.
Right.
If they're really friendly, and I mean, typically I'll get like a drink from them, and you'll ask them for like a shot. And if you're looking for something kind of fruity, or just give them like 1 or 2 parameters, and see what they come up with. Like, what is their best shot? And depending on what they come up with, that's how you know if they're a good bartender or not. And whether or not like you want to stick with them. And if you tip them really well on like the first couple drinks, then you can lower it per drink after that. Then they'll typically take care of you really well for the rest of the night. So I mean, there's an art to that, and it's less about gender, at least it is with me, and more about like the service that person's providing and their skill and their recommendations and their general like persona.
I'm just saying the general trend. I know it's trend.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hop out, guys. Everybody, bye.
Yeah, I should go too.
All right. I think we're going to call this about the end of it. So thanks, everyone, for turning in.
All right.
Catch y'all next time. And thanks, everybody, for showing up to stream. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was